And tonight on the ABC News, OJ Simpson kills one more person. Oh my god, I can't believe it. OJ kills another person? I didn't know Minute Maid orange juice could kill people. I guess what happened here was that someone poisoned the OJ and, killed somebody. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time on ABC, the horrible news in the whole world. Thank you. Well, I hope you liked how I did my commercials. I'm gonna be a star. I've always been a star, I just have to go to Hollywood, and then I'll just, everybody would be like going, oh, I want your autograph, oh, I want your autograph. But anyways, see you later. Adios. Ciao.
Hey everybody, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, etc., whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, whoever you're doing it with, etc. Welcome. I'm just glad it's all going on right here on Legal Vices, on this little channel that I call Legal Vices, with me, your host, Legal Vices. Great to have you here today. OJ Simpson. It's our weekly OJ Simpson stream. We're going to be bringing up Chandler, who will be joining us this week. Sweet, we missed her last week. So here, but first, the drink of the day. Unfortunately, I made the mistake of not having my wine glasses clean. Both of my red wine goblets, if you will, are in the dishwasher without having pushed start. So today, we're going to be tasting the Two Hands Angel's Share Shiraz 2022. And because we don't have any actual wine glasses, we're going to have to go full Johnny Depp and break out for the first time in quite a while the official Legal Vices Johnny Depp Mega Pint Legal Vices Pimp Cup right there. This is the exact, well, not the cup, but it is the exact type of cup that Johnny Depp used when he assaulted some cabinets. So that's why we call it the official Johnny Depp Mega Pint Legal Vices Pimp Cup. So this is an Australian wine from Two Hands, a lovely Shiraz. It's one of my favorites. I really do like this. Runs around $40 a bottle. It's fantastic. Very, very flavorful. A lot of raspberry, black cherries, a little bit of hint of licorice, and maybe a little spicy peppercorn on there. This would go great with some dried meats, like on a charcuterie. This would be super awesome. Great. Check it out. If you ever come across the Two Hands Angel Share Shiraz, pick up a bottle and see if you like it. Quite delish. All right. With that out of the way, let's bring up Chandler. What's up, Chandler?
Hi. Good morning. I'm really happy to be here.
We're glad to have you this week. You were missed.
Aw. Well, I missed you guys too. Everybody. Yourself included, very much.
Alan69 asks, who was that kid? That was Ari Jacob. It was Ariadna Jacob, a frequent participant on our F at Friday streams, and
I love
the influencer's influencer. So yeah, she came on here one day. She showed us that, and she said that we could use it for our OJ stream.
Yeah,
So,
if you're not familiar with Ari is actually currently involved in a very high-profile lawsuit against Taylor Lorenz in the New York Times. So you should go and look her up and check that out, because that is all very exciting. I think there's news with that case. That's been really, really fun to follow. I love her. I think Ari's fabulous.
She's awesome. She's missed the past couple of F at Fridays, but hope to have her back. If not, we're just going to do a straight-up interview with her because she's that awesome. Right. Well, what's coming up in Chandlerland real quick here?
Well, today I'm actually going to be on Flux's stream. We're going to be talking about Project Bluebeam later. Flux, good morning. I'm going to be on your stream. I'm so happy. I actually don't know anything about Project Bluebeam. I don't know what it is. I was supposed to look it up and then I fell asleep. But I'm planning on doing a little bit of, extra legwork to check into that so that I can be prepared and we can talk about that. It's some government controlled thing. I know Flux explained it to me, but I completely forgot. So it should be interesting.
Project Bluebeam will be interesting. Well, it's Flux, so it's serious, hardcore conspiracy stuff. I won't say conspiracy theory, It's conspiracy stuff.
It's definitely
So,
good conspiracy stuff, and Flux knows her stuff. So I always love
Yes.
going on her channel. So check me out there later. And tomorrow we're going to be doing a reading with Megan Fox, which you're going to be there, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think when's that going to be? 6:30 or 9:30, one of those times tomorrow. That should be fun. And then I'm going to be on Sauce Saturday with Hayden. So it's going to start at 4 a.m. my time, so I might not be there like right away. But that's what's coming up for me. I'm excited.
Well, some of those things are overlapping because tomorrow we're doing this right now. Tomorrow we're gonna do a little experiment here on legal vices. We're coming up on Halloween. It's Friday. I thought we would do some H.P. Lovecraft readings.
Ooh. Oh, I love when you do that because you're really good at the dramatic readings, and you have that. Well, I mean, obviously, you have the radio voice. You got the whole thing going, and I remember the last time you did it, I really enjoyed it. What are you going to be reading?
The short stories, the shortest of the short stories, whatever we can get to in a couple of hours, I think. And as you noticed,
definitely not going to miss that. It's going to be great.
When we were talking backstage, and thank you so much for advising me.
We've got the H.P. Lovecraft story voice. So we should be using this voice for the stories.
I do like it, but I really like your regular voice also, so it's hard to choose.
We'll use the regular voice for some of them. Some of the stories require the voice. Yes, like as Flux says, it's a conspiracy analysis.
Yes, exactly.
They're conspiracy analysts. And if they were analysts and therapists, we know what that would make them.
Yes, we do. We've all seen Arrested Development. At least I hope we've all seen Arrested Development. I love Arrested Development.
No, we haven't. And that was one of the funny things back. Okay, we're getting off the beaten track here again, but we have to. That was one of my, oh my God, we can't even say this, can we? But we can hint at it. The results of if you're an analyst and a therapist.
Oh, yes.
We can't say that on YouTube right now. But
it's a clinical
back when
term.
I was president, sort of. Back in the days when I was the president of a motorcycle club here, we had one guy who joined the club who wasn't the smartest tool in the shed, to mix metaphors. His deck didn't go all the way to the top of the belfry, et cetera, et cetera. And he always thought of himself as sort of the philosopher. We didn't really have a club position for him. So he hadn't seen Arrested Development. And as being the self-proclaimed, philosopher and pundit type person, the politics guy, we made him our analyst therapist, and we gave him a name tag that he proudly wore on his vest, the analrapist, shall we call it?
Yes,
the analrapist.
If you pronounce it correctly,
yes.
If you pronounce it correctly, YouTube won't have a problem with it. Hopefully,
yes.
I've never experimented.
For the space of a good year and a half, he wore an analrapist tag on his.
Oh my God.
Cut, and that was he wore that on his cut, and it was just the funniest fucking thing.
Oh God, I love that so much.
He never did catch on.
Really? Are you kidding?
No.
How can you not? It's right there.
Well, he caught on at one of the major like biker events we went on to, and other people started laughing at him. Then
did he eventually learn to read? Because
he was a school teacher.
Literate person.
Anyway, yeah. So Daily Quick Bite says, "Is Cthulhu stuff public domain? Maybe I should do a reading." Well, we'll just have to take the risk and find out, won't you?
Yeah. Well, that's going to be great. I'm really excited for that. I think that'll be a fantastic Halloween special.
Yeah, so we'll do that on Friday. If that's what people want, we'll do it on Friday, and if that's what people want, I'll do it again on Halloween. Because I thought we had a Halloween scheduled for the Depp v. Heard thing, but I thought we should bump that to Wednesday.
Okay.
So that,
that makes sense.
Yeah, so we can be spooky on Halloween. But anyway, that's so we've got that. We've got this right now. Tomorrow, Lovecraft readings. Saturday, well, my Saturday morning. Yes, everybody else's Friday night. We've got Megan Fox's hearing. It's a transcript from a hearing in the Maya case. One of the child welfare people It's a hearing that they're involved in. Apparently, it's pretty dramatic. And then I'm doing other stuff that I really need to calendar because I can't remember everything I'm doing, and I'm going to miss somebody, and they're going to hate me. But next Monday will be Maritime Monday with Cannibal Rat Ghost Ship, and Tuesday perhaps more of the Lovecraft readings if that's what you want. So just saying that's where we sit. But we do have a super chat to kick us off already. With this one super chat, Rosalind Duke.
Thank you, Rosalind.
Gives $10, which is more than we made in the entire stream combined last week. So we're off to a great start. We've already exceeded our telethon goal by $2. I'm looking for someone to do my first live stream. Its focus is my dad's testimony in the Jack Ruby trial.
What?
Exactly. What? Wow.
Rosalind Duke, you did not. Did you tell us this? Because I don't remember ever hearing about this.
I don't remember this. I never heard this.
That's really something. Wow.
I can send the documents if anyone's interested. Send them to me and Chandler.
Yeah. Wow.
Hoping to do it the week of November 6th. Anyone?
I mean, not to content poach, not to, but that does sound quite impressive, and I'm very
she said
interested.
She wants people to join her and asked us if there is anyone. I can see like 2 people here right now.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in that. That sounds fascinating. I'm very, very curious. Very cool.
Wow.
I love that. That's
wild.
I want to hear more. I want to know more.
Yeah.
Burying the lead, Rosalind Duke. You've been like hanging out with us and super chatting this whole time.
Twitter. Twitter's a good way to do it, or email. Email for me is thelegalvices@gmail.com. It's like right down there. And I can forward them to Chandler if you want to email them. Down there in the link is thelegalvices@gmail.com. Chaos Coordinator says, and Jeff is clearly ignoring me. Am I, or am I just trying to find a way to block you again?
I think Chaos Coordinator is still a little butthurt after being sleep banned from Megan's stream. I was not there, but I heard about it. Flux texted me about it, and I was kind of laughing my ass off.
Jeff, you mofo, why are you targeting me? Ban here, ban there, like WTF has been 2 by now. Thanks. 2? Did I get you on Hayden's too?
Oh God.
No, there was a legitimate sleep ban on Hayden's back when we were doing the Zachariah Anderson trial. I was listening to him while I fell asleep, and I just sort of rolled over on the phone, and then, skin to phone touch contact, it just banned everybody.
I do.
But this thing that Megan's talking about, Megan Fox is talking about, it was the I think it was Maritime Monday, it was one day earlier this week. Maybe it was Tuesday or Wednesday. Maybe it was the Melly thing. I can't remember, but we were going to send you. It was the day that everybody didn't get sent anywhere because I went to see if Megan was streaming and she wasn't. So I just ended the stream. I went in my room, turned on, because I just love doing it during Halloween. I turned on old Art Bell Ghost to Ghost AM Halloween shows, and I went to sleep, and I woke up with people laughing at me saying that I banned Chaos Coordinator from Megan's stream. I said, no, that's impossible, because I went to sleep listening to Ghost to Ghost AM with Art Bell. And then Flux kept insisting. So I went back and I checked my history on my YouTube phone for YouTube videos, and Megan's video was there. So I guess I did, but I mean, it's not even a subconscious thing. I went to sleep listening. I went to sleep listening to Art Bell, and I woke up, and that's all I can tell you.
Maybe
so it must have just been complete sleepy. I don't know. But anywho, yeah. So that was kind of weird.
Desires.
Yeah, but it's weird. I only got one of you instead of a bunch of people. Lamau, poor Jeff.
Targeting.
See, it was weird because Hayden, when I did it with Hayden, it banned like 15 people because it was just kept doing it. And then he actually had to take away my mod privileges to make it stop. But for some reason on Megan's stream, I just targeted Chaos Coordinator somehow, some way. Anywho, that is too far afield, and we've done our 17 minutes of bullshit. Sorry, everybody. Let's get on with OJ. I meant to jump right into it 11 minutes ago, but that didn't work out.
Well, we were
because
quicker
of all you did.
yesterday, or not yesterday.
Yeah.
When we did
That was yesterday.
sidebars. That was just because Megan wasn't around, and we were able to jump in faster. We love Megan.
Yeah, well,
distract us.
Well, Ms. K. Griff says yes. She has a screen. I know it happened because I saw that there was a watched Megan Fox video in my view history.
You're not denying it at all.
No, I was not. Oh, I mean, it's not like when I was, oh yeah, I vaguely remember something. No, I went to sleep listening to Art Bell and I woke up having slept a good 7 hours, felt great and refreshed.
Speaking of, I love Art Bell and I love Coast to Coast.
Yeah.
So good. Or Ghost to Ghost, rather.
There you have it. So let's get back to Mazzola. What did you miss last week? Not a goddamn thing.
I was curious. Yeah, I was going to ask. Yeah.
Yeah, not a thing.
Ms. Mazzola, what do you got to say for yourself?
Yeah, and that's me. You'll notice we're Mazzola racks today. We're Mazzola racks.
Yeah. I was Ms. Vasquez. But I changed it previously to Ms. Mazzola. But I was late, so I didn't have time to type it in.
Yeah.
Little...
So what we did last week is they just proceeded to beat up on her some more on the stand, and towards the end, which is where we're picking up, they were just walking through her day. You didn't do this, did you? Oh, and you didn't do this, did you? And you didn't do that, did you? And she's just getting more and more like glassy eyed and somebody please delete me now look on her face. So I guess that's where we're going to pick up today, in the middle of that particular line of questioning.
Sounds good. I really wish that she had just gone with the, I was a trainee, I'm inept kind of thing.
Well, she can't do that. She blew that one.
I have to adjust one of my contact lenses. I'm having a bit of an issue with my vision here, but I will be right back. So,
okay, you won't miss anything, I promise.
Okay.
The first item that you collected inside the house was item number 12. Is that right?
That's right.
And those would be the drops of blood that you found in the foyer of Mr. Simpson's home.
Correct.
And before you collected item number 12, you did an inspection of the first floor of the house, did you not?
I can't remember if we inspected first or picked up first.
All right. Well, what time did you actually pick up item number 12? Did you record that in your notes?
Let's see. Yes.
And what time was that?
16:30.
That would be 3:30, 3:30? No, 4:30.
4:30.
4:30 in the afternoon. Thank you. And either before or after you picked up item 12, you did do an inspection of the first floor of the house looking for bloody clothing. Is that right?
For blood in general.
All right. Looking for blood stains.
Correct.
Looking for blood smears.
Correct.
Looking for flecks of dried blood.
Correct.
And you examined the kitchen, didn't you?
Yes.
You examined the kitchen sink?
I did not personally.
Well, do you know whether Dennis Fung examined the kitchen sink?
Personally, I don't know if he did or not.
Right. Did you examine the laundry room?
Yes.
Did you examine the living room?
Yes.
Now, if I recall, they're leading up to this. So you did everything and Fung didn't do anything, right? I think that's what they're leading up to.
Dining room.
Yes.
And would you agree that except for the several drops that you found right in the foyer inside the front door, that there were no bloodstains found anywhere on the first floor of that house?
That's correct.
And that there was no blood smears found anywhere on the first floor of that house?
That's correct.
And that there were no blood flakes of dry blood found anywhere on the first floor of that house?
Start your day right with a healthy bowl of blood flakes.
That's what you were looking for, weren't you?
That's correct.
And you were taught, ma'am, looking for blood evidence to examine the location in a systematic way. Isn't that correct?
It is redundant.
Not to the inside of the house.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Especially with negative results.
And after you inspected the first floor, you went up to the second floor. Is that right?
That's correct.
And did you inspect counters?
Yes.
Did you inspect light switchers?
Yes.
Did you inspect the shelves in Mr. Simpson's closet?
As the shelves themselves or the contents? What?
Just the front of the shelves
I
for any sign of blood.
don't remember if we looked at the front of the shelves or not.
Did you look at knobs on the drawers?
I believe so.
She's a lesbian, probably. She doesn't look at knobs.
And no flakes of dried blood were found.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't
in
say
those
that. I don't
locations
know.
That I just enumerated
But
to you. Is that
she
correct?
dresses like one on
That's
TV.
correct.
And no smears of wet blood were found in those locations that I just enumerated to you.
We did not find any.
Playing Calamity Jane. I see that. I see some Calamity Jane.
One moment.
Okay. I can see some Calamity Jane in her look there. Which, by the way, if you ever get a chance to actually go to Deadwood, South Dakota, absolutely, that is the place I would like to retire. It's an absolutely gorgeous
And
community.
while you were there,
and you can go and see the graves of
Miss
of
Mazzola,
her and Wild Bill Hickok and everybody
did
else.
you inspect either the intercom or the telephone to see whether or not there were any blood stains on it?
I did not personally know.
Do you know whether Dennis Fung did?
I do not know personally if he did or not.
Well, telephone's one of the locations that you were taught at the SID Mini Academy to examine for the presence of blood.
We were not taught to look at the phone. We were taught to look at things in general.
Now, up on the second floor in Mr. Simpson's bedroom, were you shown a pair of dark socks on the floor?
There were a pair of dark socks on the floor.
And who pointed out the socks to you?
I don't know if it was one of the detectives or Mr. Fung.
Didn't you and Dennis Fung ascend the stairs together to the second floor?
I don't know if we were together all the time or not. I can't remember.
Not all the time, but were you together when you went upstairs? You
Ooh.
left the first floor and went to the second floor.
Wow.
We were both on the second level at the same time.
Those
They're on
two?
the same level.
And at
yeah.
that point in time, you were still looking for any sign of blood. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you were also looking to see whether or not any of the clothing had blood. Is that correct?
Yes.
Sounds sexy.
And was Dennis Fung already in the room where the socks were prior to your arrival in that room?
It's the bottom overlay is from the TV
I
series Mystery Science
Don't
Theater
think so, but
3000.
I can't be positive.
Oh, you have that up. I didn't even notice it.
Did Dennis
Probably 'cause it's
Fung
dark.
pick up the socks in your presence?
He collected the socks, yes.
And did he
Whatever
give them
in
to you to
that
put
future
into a brown paper bag, or did he put it in the bag himself?
He put them in the bag himself.
And you saw him do that.
Yes.
And you said a moment ago that both you and Dennis
No.
Fung were looking for blood. Is that right?
Yes.
And you saw, of course, Dennis Fung examine or look at the socks before he put them into the bag. Did he not?
I don't know if I was watching him all the time or not.
So as you sit here today, you don't know whether or not and to what extent Dennis Fung examined those socks before putting them in the bag. Is that your testimony?
Yes.
Did you personally observe the socks before or examine the socks up close before they were put in the bag?
No.
You relied on Dennis Fung to do that?
Yes.
I like that Joel's pointing
I'm
at it.
asking her state of mind. That's-
Overruled.
And while you were in that room with Dennis Fung, did he at any point express to you, oh, I see blood on the socks?
Sustained.
Did Dennis Fung say anything to you to indicate that he observed stains on the socks?
And that's exactly how he would say it too. Oh, I see blood on the socks.
Fung. Oh God, I can't even imagine having to work with him. Jeez.
Let alone ascend the stairs together into OJ's bed.
Oh.
Sustained.
Mm.
Rower.
How do you do it? Rare. No, I can't. It's like, no. I tried. Sorry.
When you were up in the bedroom, did you examine the carpet where the socks were found?
Did you sniff the sheets,
I did not
Clarice?
personally, no.
Did
Did
you
you
see
match the
Dennis
carpet?
Fung look at the carpet where the socks were found?
Overruled.
I can't remember if I
She looks like a
saw
carpet
him
muncher.
looking at the carpet while he picked up the socks or
No,
not.
Well,
think
Ms.
of it.
Mazzola,
Ms.
I was just
Mazzola.
looking at the
Said that
carpet
you and he-
and just thinking, how did this carpet get
it
so
was your
munchable?
purpose to be examining items in the house for the presence
Dirty,
of blood.
dirty
Is that
carpet.
correct?
Dirty, dirty carpet.
As to the carpet only, would you focus in on that, please?
That's why
She's
We've all
focused on
been
the
to Mr.
carpet.
Simpson's home,
Oh.
the jury, counsel. We've
She's
seen the
fixated
number
on
of
it.
items that are there. If we go through each and every item, we'll be here for a long time.
I agree, Your Honor,
suggest we
sorry.
not do that,
Okay.
especially since there are only a few items in the house.
Needless to, well, with respect to the carpet in the room,
Respect for the carpet.
both the large carpet
Respect for
and the
carpet.
smaller area rug as well.
Respect for carpet.
You didn't observe any flecks of blood on that carpeting, isn't that right?
The areas I looked at, I did not.
And you did not observe any smears of blood on that carpet or on that rug, isn't that correct?
On the areas I looked at, I did not.
And nor did you observe any drop of blood at either of those locations, did you?
On the areas I looked at, I did not.
That background's too bright, isn't it?
That one?
Yeah.
And in the areas that you looked at on that
Okay.
carpet and on that rug, did you
I don't mind
observe any soil?
Ugh.
No?
Is
I
it?
can't remember if I saw
I don't mind
soil
it.
or not.
Well, if you saw an unusual amount of, if you saw any soil at all, would it have been your standard practice to call that to Dennis Fung's attention?
Ew, she saw soiled
It
carpet.
depends on what you regard as any amount. I
There
mean,
we go.
carpet
I like that.
naturally has some dirt
works.
on it.
Did you see any soil as opposed to other types of debris on the rug or
Hero with the $5 super chat. Did you let Mr. Fung examine your carpet? Did the carpet match the drapes? No. Unhung hero. Penalty box. Sorry. We
Listen,
we
Unhung
can't.
Hero. What
we-
happened with Ms. Mazzola's carpet is purely between Ms. Fung and Ms. Mazzola. This is about OJ's carpet, okay? Just saying.
And their unhung hero gets 5 minutes for instigating. 5 minutes in the penalty box. All right. Damn it.
Thanks for the super chat.
Thanks? Question mark. All righty.
on the carpet when you
Oh, it's nice
inspected it
Not being the one
on
being
June
sold at OJ.
13th?
I do not believe so.
Oh, Johnny Cochran has his Remember Jamaica tie on.
Oh, wow. That is quite a tie.
Mon.
And you said that the one place that you actually saw a red stain was on the floor of the bathroom. In
I
the
think
master
floor
bedroom.
and
Is that
floor
right?
rhyme.
That's correct.
And
Did you saw her?
it was just a small,
floor.
faint smear, wasn't it?
It was small, yes.
It wasn't a drop, it was simply a smear. Isn't that correct?
That is correct.
A sore
And
red
you do
stain.
not know, or did not know at the time, how long that faint smear of blood had been on that floor, do you?
I don't know, no.
Well,
You'd be a
Ms.
great insult.
Mazzola,
Mr. Fung, you're just a faint
have either
smear.
you or any member of your family ever cut yourself shaving in the bathroom?
Sustained.
Ms. Mazzola, based on your professional experience, do you find it unusual that you would see one small faint smear of blood on the floor of a bathroom?
Sustained. Is there any way to date blood samples that you find at scene?
Yes, but
I-
you just make sure you
my
buy them at
experience, I
dinner
don't know.
before you take them home.
Hold on.
I was gonna say they were talking about the stuff in the house, and I still think it's so funny that when they gave the jury a tour of the house, they replaced all of OJ's like white-looking, decorations with like
Mazzola.
black decorations. Johnny Cochran
When
like
you returned to
picked that out. I thought
Rockingham
this
that
was so funny.
afternoon, you did collect several items of evidence, isn't that right?
That's right.
And it was your practice to write down on the field notes every item of evidence that you and Mr. Fung received, isn't that right?
Yes.
And it was the standard procedure at SID that you would record the collection of each item in the field notes at or
It felt
about
like
the
it.
time that the item was actually received. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
And in fact, over the 2 days, June 13th and June 14th, you were asked to record the collection of approximately 50 or so items. Isn't that correct?
I'm not sure exactly how many. Quite a few.
Well, could you look at your notes to refresh your recollection to see the approximate number of items that you collected during those 2
No,
days?
because it makes my chin disappear.
Doesn't the
What, Chin?
evidence collection sheet speak for itself? The jury's seen it.
Exactly.
We know it's a lot of items.
Well, I believe, Your Honor, it's
No chin,
approximately 50,
no jaw.
55 items. And
She can't help it, to be fair.
Kelsey, man, would you say clean
agree.
it with club soda size stain or clean it with shout size stain or a lick
We need
and
to have
rub
time
type
to have you
stain?
sit here and count the
Good.
number of items.
Ms. Mazzola,
I like that scale.
Nice.
other than
Nice.
the blood vial belonging to Mr. Simpson, isn't it a fact that every other item was recorded over those 2 days contemporaneous to its being collected?
Except 2 items we recovered before we left Rockingham on that day.
I've just noticed her whole
Except for 2
nose
items?
like moves when she
Correct.
talks.
Really?
And what number were those 2 items?
Like when she talks, like the end of her nose like goes up and down.
Does it? That's so odd.
Yeah.
Property
I
items
just noticed it.
15 and 16.
Watch when they do a close up on her face again.
Okay.
Like now.
Well, in your field notes, did you make an entry that property items 15 and 16 were collected at approximately 1700 hours?
That is the entry, yes.
And did you make that entry in the afternoon while you were at Rockingham before you left Rockingham?
No.
I can't unsee it.
I'm looking.
It just like
When
dips
and
down
where
like
did
this.
you make those entries for items 15 and 16, Ms. Mazzola?
It's a riveting
It was
testimony.
the following day at the laboratory.
It's like an
Any
aardvark.
independent recollection of
I'm
that?
not seeing it, but
It
like
was
an
at
aardvark.
the laboratory the next day.
Oh, it
No, I'm
does. Oh
asking
my
you,
god,
did
that's
you
so
have any
creepy.
independent recollection that it was the laboratory the next day?
Shit, that scared me. I'm like,
Or did
oh.
someone tell you or suggest to you that that's when it was?
A nose isn't supposed to do that.
It's my handwriting. That was the only time it could be.
It's an aardvark and I can't
Well, no,
unsee it.
Ms. Mazzola, your handwriting appears in these field notes as saying the time of collection was 1700 hours.
Oh,
By
that's
looking at your
weird.
handwriting in those notes, you can't tell whether you made that entry at approximately 1700 hours on June 13th
Is it
or the next day, can you?
aesthetic nose?
It was not made on June 13th
And how do you know that it was not made on June 13th?
because our field
Some
notes from the
disguise.
posse box, which was locked in the back of the truck at the time.
Ms. Mazzola,
Okay, that freaked me out. I'm just like, ugh.
are you
I'm like
saying that you
a
did
little
not
nauseous.
collect items 15 and 16 until after I'm sorry, what were the field notes on? A clipboard?
The posse box, yes, clipboard.
no.
Well, no,
What's
no,
that?
no.
What's
A
that
posse box
animal?
isn't a
Not a
clipboard?
capybara. It's like
It
the,
has
the,
a-
the one that's kind of rodent-like
serves
that
as
has
a
the
posse
extra
box
long
and
little
clipboard.
short elephant
There's a
nose
place
on
to
it.
hold the papers
Oh,
on the
a
outside.
Right?
shrew?
No,
And,
those are little tiny ones. It's like
Are
Are you
capybara.
saying that before you collected
Tapir,
items
that's
15
right.
and 16,
Oh.
you
Daily
were
quick
already
bites.
Wait, do you want to
put
bring
the
up?
posse backs,
I will.
I gotta look.
posse
I have to
box
look at
into the
picture
rear of
one.
the van and lock the van?
Yes.
And how do you know that items 15 and 16 were collected after the posse box was locked in the van as opposed to before?
Why is it called a posse box?
Because our kits were also in the back of the truck that had our packaging material.
God damn it.
What? I'm not looking at chat.
We interrupt our regularly scheduled program.
What do you got?
Oh God, I'm going to hell. That's not what I wanted.
Thankfully, in my religion, we don't believe in hell, so I can laugh at all the horrible things I want to.
Oh dear me, where are we? Ah, there we are.
I didn't know that noses did that, and now I'm really disturbed. Oh my god. Oh my god. Jeff! No! God. Wow.
Okay, enough.
It's the
Now
same.
let's-
It's a perfect comparison. Okay, I'm really like, I was like already a little nauseous this morning, and now I'm just like, I want to throw up. I'm really grossed out. I don't know why. I didn't know a human nose could do that. I don't know why it's doing that. Noses aren't supposed to move. I was not aware that that was a phenomenon.
Well,
The
now I can't
animal's
unsee
cute.
it.
The animal's way cuter than her.
That's what Joe Choi said.
There's some
All
little
right.
bird twittering. Good morning, little bird.
Back to our regularly scheduled program.
Your kits with your packaging material were locked in the
Oh.
box. I'm sorry. Your kits with your packaging material were locked in the rear of the van at the same
Mazzola?
time you locked the posse
Probably
box in the
Catholic.
rear of the van. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And
Yeah,
have
I'm
you seen
Jewish.
the videotape showing you walking to the van with your kit?
What's
I've
up,
seen many
Danielle?
videos, but I believe
Hey.
I've seen a few with us walking to the truck with the kids.
And when you're walking to the truck with kits, you're also walking with a posse box, correct?
I believe the posse box.
God
was
damn it,
also
I can't
there,
look at
yes.
that.
And on
I
that
cannot
video
unsee
that
this.
you saw, which
Oh.
showed you walking to the back of the van with those items.
Bet the ladies like
there
the
was a time
prehensile
code on that
nose.
tape, was there not?
I don't remember.
Jeff. That's
Well-
terrible. Why?
One moment, Your Honor.
You know, hey,
So while he's getting that, just
I'm gonna have to
like back
add
up
that
a second.
skill to my
The
repertoire.
reason you believe
Oh my God.
that the two entries of
I never
1700
thought to use
items,
a
15 and
nose down
16, were
there.
written the next day is because you believe that at the
Uh-huh.
time you picked up 15 and 16,
As long as we're off,
posse box, which contains
as long as we're off the trail, should we do it?
You know what?
Is it time, chat?
Time for what?
Is it to do it?
To do what?
Chat knows. You know. You're just not thinking.
Oh,
Chat, is
yes.
it time? Okay, it's time. Chandler's given the okay. It's time. Earpod warning, everyone. All right, back to Donald Sutherland questioning the tape here on the stand.
the field notes was already locked
I
in the
just love
van.
his
Is that
face.
correct?
That's correct.
And the reason you believe that the posse box was locked in the van
I should
at
do
that
it.
particular
Again.
time is because you saw a videotape
Contact
of
them.
yourself locking the posse box in the van. Isn't that correct?
I remember when we collected items 15 and 16 and what we packaged them in. That's why I know that we did not have our kits or the posse box with us.
Do the truffle. Should I do the truffle shuffle?
Mazzola, as you can
Oh,
best
God.
recall it today, what were items 15 and 16 packaged in?
They were placed in a plastic garbage bag.
And Ms. Mazzola, on the field notes, where it says packaged in, did you write down what items 15 and 16 were packaged in?
No.
It was 17, 10, 59.
Right.
All right, we'll take a very quick break here to address these things. There was like a natural break in the court, so we'll just make the JA with the $2 super chat. Oh, I forgot to do the things. That's for you, JA. This is for you, Rosalind Duke. And this is for you, Unhung Hero. All right, Morn, says JA, you too. Do we know Andrea used shampoo too? I don't know. I really don't know. Bye, Franz. He was one of my favorite actors, Donald Sutherland. He has a great role in JFK, Costner JFK. And I just watched I just watched Skeleton Key. Great, spooky, creepy music with one of the greatest Deep South blues soundtracks you will ever hear. If you want to watch a kind of spooky, creepy movie with Donald Sutherland and one of the greatest soundtracks, Skeleton Key. Great Halloween movie. And JKD Buck 76, back to Donald Sutherland questioning a tapir on the stand, was not in my bingo card this morning. Legalizes. Nor was it on mine. So there we go. Oh, there she is, shutting it. Oh, dear.
Now, Ms. Mazzola, it's at this point that you locked your potsy box with other items of evidence in the rear of the van. Is that right?
That's right.
And it's already been stipulated to, in this case, that the time that you see on that videotape is in fact the correct time, give or take 30 seconds. So that would mean that the time that you locked the posse box and the other items of evidence and your kit in the back of the van is approximately 17:11. Would you agree, ma'am?
I agree.
So would you agree, ma'am, that the time of 1700 hours is approximately 11 minutes before you lock that posse box in the back of the van?
Yes.
17 to 17:11, yes.
So would you agree, ma'am, that had in fact
God, tracking, come
items
on.
15 and 16 been collected at 1700 hours, the time that you put on your field report, they could have been collected and packaged the ordinary way prior to the time that you locked the posse box and the kit in the rear of the van?
No,
Would you agree with that?
they were
If
putting
they've
a,
been collected at 1700 hours.
yeah, they were
yes.
put in a brown paper bag and just
1700
thrown on the
hours,
floor
ma'am,
of the
is
van.
the time that you put down on your field notes, isn't it?
That was written there, and I made a mistake.
Oh, I
But
made a
Ms. Mazzola,
mistake.
you said a moment ago that you don't even have an independent recollection of writing these entries the next day, but that you were relying on the fact that you must have written them the next day because the posse box at 1700 hours was locked in the back of the van. Isn't that correct?
Sustained. It's argumentative as well.
I thought it was a good question.
What was the question?
Oh, it was lengthy.
No.
For the record, Your Honor, I think the time should be noted that she's closing, locking the rear of the van at 17 hours, 11 minutes, and 51 seconds.
Noted.
Now, would you agree, Ms. Mazzola, that except for the blood vial of Mr. Simpson, every item that you collected during those 2 days, June 13th and June 14th, was recorded in the order in which it was collected?
Well, we know that's not true. It wasn't.
Well, see, that's what he's going for here. He's going for that. It's like everything else except the blood vial from Mr. Simpson was recorded in the order in which it was collected. Just that one very important piece of evidence was out of order. That's what he's going for, I bet. Fun dying. Remember, for 13 months. Wow, we've been doing this a while. I needed a birthday whiskey suggestion by this evening. Got to celebrate in style. Well, what's your budget and what kind? Scotch, bourbon, or do you care? Give me a flavor profile. Peaty,
Right.
strong, smooth, fruity, vanilla-y. Let me know what you're looking for and I'll give you a recommendation.
Well, you are the whiskey guy. You are the perfect person to ask.
I believe there was an item of evidence that Detective Lang brought to the laboratory.
Budget's most important, I think.
That might be out of order.
Certainly.
When was it collected by the criminalists? Would that be on the morning of June 14th?
Now, let me double check.
Oh my God. $200 for a whiskey? Dude, don't spend $200 on a bottle of whiskey if you're like total noob. Don't do that. God dang. I mean, if you want to go high class for say 120, 150-ish, go for Glenmorangie 18-year extremely rare. Glenmorangie 18-year extremely rare. That's my desert island whiskey. It's about 120, 150 bucks a bottle. Yeah, if that was like the one bottle I could only drink for the rest of my life, that would be it.
Have you ever done a whiskey stream, Jeff? Have you ever just like done a stream like reviewing
We need
just
to do
whiskey?
that.
I think that would be a
Yeah.
good idea because I have questions about whiskey. Like every time I go, I have like this little liquor store around the corner. It's like a specialty liquor store. It's like a couple blocks from my house. That's where I found the bottle of bourbon that looks like strawberry. And I always have questions like, what would Jeff think? I always think of you. I'm always just like, would Jeff approve if I wanted to buy like Johnny Walker Black Label
No.
or, you know?
No, I would disown
No.
you.
No.
But yeah.
These are the questions that I need to ask. Like, I want to know more about, you know, like typical whiskeys that the average whiskey person would, you know, non-whiskey person would buy.
We could
You
do
know,
that.
just like, oh, this is probably a good, but you know, like I've seen you drink
definitely do
Gentleman's
that.
Jack before, but it was probably
No, you haven't.
I've heard that you did in an airport out of desperation.
Oh well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
airport, you're limited. But yeah,
Sorry. Sorry
you're
not to tarnish your name or anything like that.
Uh,
Anyway, whiskey stream. I would
So,
definitely do that.
but for birthday on the run, Joe Choi, I know it's like way cheaper in the UK. I would say the Glenmorangie 18-year, extremely rare, absolutely exquisite whiskey. If you're looking for just a regular, like a peated Scotch, say from if you like the smoky, heavy, peaty flavors, the Lagavulin 16-year is the standard Isla peaty Scotch. Other Scotches off the top of my head, I mean, those would be where I would go. If you're more into the bourbons and the some of the Wild Turkey Family Reserve, Wild Turkey Master's Keep. It's a 17-year aged Wild Turkey. Oh my God, such a great. Now that'll cost you about $350. Never mind. God,
That surprises me that you would. I mean, I you know, Wild Turkey is just like when I think of Wild Turkey, I just think
oh
of,
no,
like,
yeah. See,
swill.
that's total misconception.
Well, what do I know?
Wild Turkey Rare Breed. Wild Turkey Rare Breed, great. Should
Rare
be
breed.
$50-$60 a bottle. Wild Turkey Rare Breed for a bourbon, or if you just want a nice smooth drinker, spend $30 and get a Basil Hayden. Rye, if you like spicy, kind of Christmassy, Christmas cake flavored molasses and dark fruits and things. Whistle Pig 10 or 12 year. That's it.
Yeah, Whistle Pig. That was one I wrote down that you recommended a while back.
Yeah, so those were the things I would I would recommend. And By Franz agrees. Rare Breed is a nice, affordable bottle. So, all right, let's get back with our stream here.
Or we could just talk about whiskey.
Yes, Danielle, I will.
Mhm.
Well, no, yeah. Behavior, yes. Preferences, no. Because the best
It was on the
whiskey is the whiskey you like to
And
drink
when you
the way
say
you
it's
like
not
to
in
drink it.
sequence, you mean to say that in your original field notes, you recorded the sneakers as being received by the criminalists prior to the time that the criminalists received the blood vial of Mr. Simpson's blood. Isn't that correct?
That is correct.
And other than that one switch that you've just described, were all other 50 or so items collected and recorded recorded in your field notes in the order in which they were collected?
Hibiki Harmony, fantastic whiskey. It should be about $130 a bottle. Yamazaki is ridiculous. If you want to get like Yamazaki
believe
18,
so.
you're going to spend between
And
$300 and
isn't
$500,
that
$300
one
and
of the reasons that you
$800 for
carry
a
the
bottle.
clipboard in the first place?
Don't
So
do
you
Yamazaki
can
now.
Record
I love the
the
Dalmore
items
that
that you
you
collect in the
brought
sequence
to
in which
Texas.
you
That was
receive
great.
them.
That
It
was the
is
best whiskey
to
I've ever had.
give us a stable writing surface so we
That
can
spoiled me.
write things down.
Well, I'm sorry, I don't mean the clipboard, I mean the field notes.
Oh.
Isn't that the reason why you carry, one of the reasons why you keep the field notes?
So we can write down what we collect and the measurements, things like that.
And also so
I
you
feel
can
like that.
record things in the field notes in the order in which you collect them. Isn't that so?
Doesn't have to be in the exact order that we collect things, but just to keep track of things.
Well,
It depends.
weren't you taught at the SID Mini Academy?
It depends on
to
the
record
alcohol
items of
content
evidence sequentially as you collect them?
and what it's made out of.
Did they teach you that?
I don't believe that was ever brought out.
Is it just a coincidence that in your field notes that except for items
It could either
17
be
and
considered a
18,
new
all
make
the
whiskey
other
or
items
just
are
basically
recorded in the
vodka.
sequence in which they're collected?
It usually works out like that.
We'll do a
And
whiskey
if you
stream.
don't have a clipboard handy when you receive an item of evidence, is it your procedure to record that item in the field notes at the first opportunity?
Yes.
You've been taught to do that, right?
Yes.
Yes.
When it came time to leave Rockingham, the last items that you remember collecting were items 15 and 16. Isn't that correct?
I collected one and Mr. Fung collected the other, yes.
Okay, which of those two items did you collect and which did Mr. Fung collect?
Just by the numbers. Ms. Mazzola, just tell us which number.
All right, Your Honor. I collected number 16.
And 16 was collected on a bench just outside the door, correct?
Correct?
And it was not Mr. Simpson's vial of blood, was it?
No.
And item 15 was collected in a trash basket in a bathroom off the foyer of the house, wasn't it?
Correct?
Go with the 18
And number
here.
15 was not a blood vial of Mr. Simpson's, was it?
No, it was not.
I mean, you could literally just, go through your whole shelf. I don't know if you'd have time, but I would be interested to know your collection.
Oh, we'll.
So I'm excited for the whiskey stream.
Now, after you and Dennis Fung went out to load the truck with the posse box and the
Yes, it's
kits and the brown paper bags of items that you had collected, you and he went back inside for one last check to make sure that nothing had been left behind. Isn't that right?
That was one of the reasons, yes.
On the way back inside the house, Ms. Mazzola, did you observe Mr. Fung pick up the various photo ID number cards that had been left on the driveway?
I
Is it blinking?
remember from the videos him picking up the number cards.
But you don't have an independent recollection
No.
of it?
No.
And I believe that day in total, you used more than a half a dozen of those photo ID cards in that driveway. Isn't that right?
Let's see. Maybe not quite half a dozen.
Well, number 5 was in the driveway, correct?
Correct?
6 was in the driveway,
Correct.
right? 7 and 8.
Right.
A, right?
A and B. Correct.
B and C.
Correct.
8? Is that
I
correct?
stand corrected, yes.
Okay.
God, if you know the answer.
And these photo ID cards that you use, you carry them or you store them in your black box, your kit box, don't you?
Yeah, she's depleted.
So you can use them and recycle them, correct?
Correct.
And it's also your practice, is it not, to take your trash with you when you leave a scene?
Correct.
You're trying.
She took
Don't
Fung
leave it
with her?
behind.
What?
No.
And approximately within a half hour after you went back into Mr. Simpson's house, you left to return to SID headquarters, didn't you?
Could be within half hour or so.
Well, did you look at the videotape which had the time code on it?
I might have, but I didn't memorize the time.
And when you walked out the final time, you saw yourself on a videotape carrying a black trash bag, is that right?
It was a trash bag, yes.
And prior to your seeing that videotape, you did not have an independent recollection of your leaving carrying a black trash bag, did you?
No, I remember carrying trash bag. I'm not sure of the color, but I remember carrying the trash bag.
You had a prior recollection, I'm sorry, you had an independent recollection of that prior to seeing the videotape?
Yes.
And as a basis for forming that prior recollection, did anyone suggest or remind you of the fact that you had been carrying a black trash bag out of the scene
No, I remember carrying a trash bag out of the scene.
independently?
Yes.
And when you carried that trash bag out of the scene, at any time did Mr. Fung ever say to you to be careful because it's glass?
Sustain.
Were you aware when you were carrying that trash bag that it contained breakable glass?
No,
Overruled.
As opposed to unbreakable glass?
On the way back to the laboratory, did Dennis Fung ever say to you to make an entry in the field notes that you had received a vial of Mr. Simpson's blood?
Sustained.
You have a sidebar?
It's hearsay. Proceed.
And the clipboard, I'm sorry, the field notes that were locked in the posse box, when you got back to SID headquarters, they were removed with the items of evidence, weren't they?
yes,
Everything was brought inside.
yes.
And how does that posse box open?
It has just a simple clip.
Oh, it doesn't need a key.
No,
Ms. Mazzola, how much later, after you went back
Let's see what a posse
into
box looks like.
Rockingham for the second time, was it before you collected items 15 and 16? Approximately.
when we went back the second time,
When I say the second time, ma'am,
Yeah.
just so I can clear this up for you, I don't mean returning at 3 o'clock or 3:15. I mean, you went out to the truck with your posse box and kit, and then you went right back in for one last check.
right,
After you went in for that one last check, how much time passed before you collected item 15?
so item 15 was, I'm not sure which one.
Do you have a note that indicates how long it was after you returned for one last check before you picked item 15?
No, I was just making sure which item was item 15.
Oh, okay.
I picked up item 16 on our way in, and Mr. Fung, I believe, picked up item 15 within a couple of minutes of that.
I didn't realize it was like a clipboard. I thought it
When
was like an
you
actual
got
box.
back to the lab,
Wait, it's a clipboard?
Yeah, it's a clipboard that like it
From
opens up and you can
Rockingham.
put papers in it, I think. I
Oh,
googled it.
like a file
did
box?
you make any entry in your field notes
No,
to indicate that you
you kind of
had,
just have to see it on
Mr. Fung
Google
had
Images.
collected a vial of blood?
No,
And your field notes were with you at that point in time, weren't they?
yes,
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's a metal clipboard with a case under it.
Yeah, you can put like pens in it. You can put papers.
Blood vials.
Maybe, possibly,
Dun, dun, dun.
possibly. Huh.
Oh God! If you can afford a Glenfiddich 18 for beginners, don't go with monkey shoulder as a beginner. Don't do that. It's great. I like it. It's good. It's mostly for mixing. But if you can afford a Glenfiddich, go for 18. You know.
And when you got back to the SID laboratory early that evening, would you agree that the most time-consuming matter for you was the removal of the little swatches with bloodstains and having them transferred into test tubes?
that's correct.
And what did you do with the other brown paper bags that contained the items that had been collected?
They were placed on one of the tables in the evidence processing room.
And were they simply left there as brown paper bags?
Yes,
And is it SID standard procedure for storing wet stains overnight to allow them to dry in a cardboard box?
they are put into a cabinet for drying, yes,
Well, and in that cabinet, they're placed in a cardboard box, isn't that right?
that's correct.
Mhm.
And is it the standard procedure at SID that when you receive a test tube of whole blood, to refrigerate it as soon as it's practicable?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I personally have never received a tube of blood like that.
But
I
you
don't know.
have been taught things at the SID mini
I
academy,
haven't been
you?
taught that, and I know you should put the
Yes,
blood in
but
a
I can't
fucking
remember what
refrigerator
they
as soon
said
as
about
possible.
Tube of blood.
It
As
would
you
stand
sit
to
here,
reason,
you
yes.
have no recollection whether in all of those lectures at the SID mini academy, anyone ever said to you, you should refrigerate a
Sure, I
vial
keep
of
saying
blood
mini
as
academy.
quickly as practicable?
Wait, what?
Overruled.
I like how he keeps referring to the academy as the mini academy.
Wait, what is it really?
Which it's I guess it's a mini academy because he keeps calling it that. Sort of like if you go back and watch the F. Lee Bailey cross-examination of Mark Furman. He kept talking about going behind the bungalow with his tiny little pen light. He just kept referring to his tiny little pen light, his tiny little flashlight, his little flashlight. It was just like so demeaning, and you knew he wasn't referring to his flashlight when he was
I
saying
love that. That's really good. Oh, did you wait? I'm curious. Did you play the whole F. Lee Bailey?
Yeah.
With
Certainly did.
Oh wow. And how did YouTube respond to the language in that?
No probs.
That cross really.
Yeah.
Really, huh?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder.
I made sure it was played at the very, very, very end of about a 3-hour stream.
Because I will say, it's not that I don't love Ms. Mazzola, but I feel like that's a little bit more of a compelling. Oh, good morning.
What's up, MLSN?
It is MLSN in the house. Hey, Dave. What up? Oh my god, I'm so tired. I'm sorry, Jeff. I'm like falling asleep. I'm like, I feel like if F. Lee Bailey was saying the N-word like 12,000 times or 17 times, however many times he said it, it would probably wake me up a little bit.
Well, that's just not gonna happen.
Citrus whiskey.
Good citrus flavor whiskey, around $100 for Moving Homes Celebration Day. Oh gosh, there's several. One of the classics, Glenmorangie 10-year. It has a lot of citrus and vanilla in it. Glenmorangie. Last I checked, Glenmorangie 10-year was the #1 selling Scotch in Scotland. So that should tell you a little something about it. 10-year Glenmorangie should run you about $35-$40 a bottle.
Have you ever been to Scotland, Jeff? Have you ever gone on like a tour of the whiskey distilleries there?
That's what was supposed to happen before COVID happened. So
probably you should go to the Isle of Skye
next year or the year after.
You should go to they make Lagavulin out there, don't they?
On Isla, the island of Isla. The Isle of Skye only makes Drambuie and Talisker. That's the only thing they make on that little island.
I had a friend who went to the Isle of Skye to do a whiskey distillery tour, but I wasn't sure which distilleries they had out there.
They have Talisker. Oban 14, OBAN, Oban 14. That'll cost you right about $100. It's very, very orange forward, full bodied. Glendronach 12, Glendronach, Dronach, Glendronach 12-year. It's aged in sherry casks. So, it's very, very wine forward. It's citrus and then very, very heavy sherry wine flavors. Aberlour 16. Aberlour. ABERLOUR 16-year. That is a classic orange peel and spice whiskey. Those are some of the ones I'd recommend. Auchentoshan, trying to think how much the Aberlour's got to be, around $80, $90, $100. Anyway, so there you go. Thank you so much for that question, Chaos Coordinator. Leafy Fifi Foo, where do you rate Monkey Shoulder? Monkey Shoulder is a great mixer. It's great for the price point. It's a solid workhorse blended whiskey, blended Scotch. They specifically say it's for mixing, but for making cocktails and mixing. But I drink it straight sometimes. Cool. Yeah. All right. Our midstream grift, Chandler Remington, Remy_legal. Make sure you go subscribe to her and like her videos and give us a quick 30-second, 1-minute rundown of what you're doing and where you're going.
Sure. Awesome. I would love to. So today I'm going to be on the Audacity network. It's not a live stream, but it's for Pearly Things. We're going to be recording a panel. Those panels are going to be coming out in November. This is my 3rd one. I'm really excited. And then afterwards, I'm going to be on Flux's channel. We're going to be talking about Project Bluebeam. And that's going to be at, oh my gosh, I can't remember what time, but go over to Flux's channel, take a look. 7:30 or something like that. I can't remember if that's my time or her time. Tomorrow, I am going to very likely be on Laid Back News. Never really, know until right before. And also, I'm going to be doing Megan Fox's channel. I might be doing an F-feminism stream on my own channel. I'm trying to do more streams. I took a little break. But you should see more content coming on Remy Legal. I've got an update in the Saif Khan case, the lawsuit against Yale, and I'm going to be having Saif on my channel soon, so look forward to that. And then Saturday, I'm going to be doing Sauce Saturdays with Hayden on Aussie Overlord. That should be a lot of fun. But yeah, tomorrow we're also going to be doing Megan Fox's stream, doing the Maya Kowalski reading, and that should be really excellent. So look forward to more content coming for me.
What a coincidence. And while you're here, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button here. We got 129 concurrent viewers, 103 likes, 104 now. Thanks. Hit that like button. Chandler and I are basically doing some of the same streams here. Tomorrow, we're doing this now. Tomorrow on my same stream, same bat time, same bat channel, I will be doing some spooky Halloween readings of H.P. Lovecraft stories. We'll do short stories, as many as we can fit into 2 or 3 hours if you want. We'll see how it goes at the end of 2 hours. If you want me to keep going, we will. Saturday morning, my time, so Friday night, your time, I'll be with Chandler on Megan Fox's dramatic reading stream. She's going to be reading one of the child custody hearings in the Maya Kowalski case. Then later, I'm going to try to get on to Hayden's show. He's on my Saturday night. I'm going to pop in one way or the other and be there. So that'll take us through the weekend. Just like and subscribe. And Rosalind Duke with a $2 super chat saying email sent. All right, I will fast forward. I will forward that to Chandler. And Monkey Shoulder makes a damn fine old fashioned. Yes, it does, Chaz Berkeley. It's a great workhorse. It's a great mixer. And Net Floodader says, what does Angel's Envy finished rye taste like? I don't know. I've never had Angel's Envy finished rye. I've only had the finished bourbon. So I can't answer the rye question. I'm sorry. And with that, let's get back to Ms. Mazzola.
I can't remember if it was brought up. It could have been brought up. I don't remember.
But we have to stop right now because we have a VIP here popping into the chat. AV to the 7th power.
AV!
What's up, girl? Welcome.
Oh, I'm so happy to see you here. Hi, AV. I'm so happy that you're here. Welcome.
Woo. Hugs guy stopping by to say hi. Well, hugs right back to you, AV. Everybody needs to go check out AV to the 7th power. Subscribe
Absolutely.
to her like every single video she's ever done. She's hitting the Tupac case hard at this point in time. Follow her for all the breaking news there. And hey, great to have you here. Thanks for stopping on by. You rock. Thanks a bunch. Oh,
AV is my favorite.
She's graced us with her presence. Thank you. And now let's get back to just our chill stream MST3K. Hey, where did the banner go? Damn it! What happened? What happened to the banner?
I don't know. Where is banner, Jeff?
Who unoverlaid that? All right, get back there.
I think it was you because I don't have any control over the screen.
All right, let's get back to our chill OJ stream and watch poor Ms. ANDREA MAZZOLA get just beat to death by the defense lawyers again.
Had anyone taught you at the SID Mini Academy that it was okay to leave a vial of whole blood in a trash can on the counter overnight?
Assumes facts, not an evidence.
No, that's Mr. Fung's testimony.
In a trash can?
In a trash bag, I said.
Oh, you said
If
can.
I said trash can, I stand corrected, and I withdraw the question and I'll rephrase the question.
Please.
Had you been taught by anyone at the SID Mini Academy that it was okay to store a vial of whole blood in a trash bag on a counter in an unrefrigerated capacity overnight?
I don't believe that was brought up.
Oh, what? Jesus. Woman, listen. Say no. You were never taught that.
In fact, the first
throw your
time
boss under the
that
bus.
blood vial of Mr.
If you
Simpson
didn't
was
put the
recorded in
blood
your
vial
notes
there,
is
throw
the next
somebody
morning,
under the
June
bus.
14th. Isn't that right?
I believe it was sometime the next day.
Do you know if
She's
it was
kind
the
of
morning or the
non-responsive.
afternoon?
I'm not sure which
Do
one.
you
it
have
was.
any independent recollection as to when it was?
No, I do not.
This poor woman
Isn't it
does
true
not want
that
to
it was
be here
not-
anymore.
That the blood vial was not recorded by you until after you were told about the sneakers that Detective Lang had dropped off at the SID laboratory.
Sneakers
That's
that
correct.
he may have kept in his own home overnight,
And
mind
thus,
you.
it was at that point in time
his
that
home
you
or his
made the
car?
notations in the field notes identifying the tennis sneakers as item 17. Isn't that correct?
They were recorded in the notes, yes.
And it's at that point in time, after you were told about the sneakers, that you were then told about Mr. Simpson's blood vial. Isn't that right?
Sustain.
Isn't it true that you then recorded, after you recorded the sneakers as item
What?
17, that you then recorded the
I
blood
feel so
vial of
bad
Mr.
for her.
Simpson as item 18?
I mean, do you?
That's
though?
correct.
All she had to say was, I was a trainee.
And the
I was
reason
good
that
at my
you
job.
recorded it in that sequence at that time is at that point in time, it was your understanding, was it not,
But she refused
that
to do
item
that.
17 had been collected prior to item 18?
Oh, well.
Oh yeah, this is like day 3 of her cross.
The tennis shoes were brought to my attention first, so I recorded it first.
Ma'am, didn't you also say a little while ago that it was your practice whenever possible to record items as they are collected sequentially?
As much as possible, yes.
All right. And so when you received these items, the reason you recorded number 17 as the sneakers and number 18 as the blood vial is because at that point in time, it was your state of mind that number 18 was received by SID after the sneakers.
The sneakers were
Say
brought to my
yes.
attention. I wrote them in the field notes. Later, the blood vial was brought to my attention.
Just say yes. I recorded them in the order I was given them. Don't, oh my Lord.
See, they must have been trained by their team, to answer questions in a particular way. They are both, I mean, she and Fung both just obfuscate like it's their job, basically. It's very frustrating.
Now,
Which is why I'm so irritated listening to her cry.
I think you said earlier, we agreed earlier, I don't recall which, that there were more than 50 items that were collected on the 13th and 14th by you and or Dennis Fung. Is that right?
I believe we agreed on that, yes.
And isn't it true that the only items of evidence where you were instructed to change the numbers were for the sneakers and the blood vial?
And I believe that is correct, yes.
There you go.
Now,
Don't
on August
obfuscate.
23rd, 1994, you testified at a hearing in this
They
case,
make things
didn't
so
you?
difficult for themselves.
I believe it was sometime in August, yes.
And you swore to tell the truth at that hearing?
Yes.
And at that hearing, in sum and substance, Ms. Mazzola, did you testify that you never saw Van Adder transfer the reference sample of Mr. Simpson's blood at any time after 5 p.m. on June 13th?
Sustain.
And just for reference, if you're ever on the witness stand and the cross-examiner begins with, back in the day on your deposition on this date, do you recall swearing to tell the truth? Any question that starts like that, whatever comes out of his mouth next is going to wreck you.
Yeah. I mean,
Just
that's not a good sign.
You've just got to roll with it at that point because you said something that you have just contradicted. You got to roll with it at that point because they're going to throw your words right back at you to contradict whatever the hell it was you just said. So this is something we talked about so many times with her. Dennis Fung was the Fung up in this whole thing. That's why Barry Scheck laid into it and just filleted him on the stand for 8.5 days. And as we saw and we watched, he was so well. We didn't get to watch it because they cut the camera, but we read about it and I explained what happened. That he was so bewildered after 8.5 days of being beat to death by Barry Scheck on the stand that he went down and shook hands with everybody on the defense team. That's how bad the lead criminologist in this case was. And then they put her on the stand. Ostensibly, I guess the prosecution put her on there to rehabilitate Fung and to try to make what he did seem a little better. And she came out of the gate just being so, they said, well, you're an assistant criminologist. You're a trainee. So I'm not a trainee. I'm a criminalist one. We don't have trainees and apprentices and assistants. I'm a fully qualified criminalist one.
Well, the police work
And-
was so bad and she knew it. And it's just like, that
Yeah.
could have been an excellent defense for her to say, I hadn't been working this job very long. I wasn't trained very well. My role was not
Right.
substantial or significant. And, I was really just following in the footsteps of Dennis Fung. I mean, she's not doing herself any favors here. And the problem is,
No.
it's like she and Fung are the ones on trial and not
Yeah.
OJ. I mean, they spent so much time on the stand, but OJ never even got up on the stand. He never even, testified, which good. I'm glad that was not going to work out ever. It was never going to be a good strategy, but it just, oh my God, this whole thing is just dragged out for so long because the way that she and Fung answer questions is just, they dodge everything and they can't answer questions simply. She's a little better than him, but not by much.
Well, I mean, exactly what you said. I mean, that's just exactly correct. All she had to do at the beginning was go, yeah, they don't have anything called assistants or trainees, but I was a fully qualified criminalist one, but that's basically a trainee. This was my third or fourth murder scene. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I was just following dipshit Fung, and you saw how bad his testimony went. He's the fucker that trained me, so I just did what I was told. I was just following orders. Yeah, don't try that. It didn't work at Nuremberg. It probably wouldn't work for her either. But just like, hey, but no, she went on for like a half hour about why she wasn't a trainee, why she wasn't an assistant, why she wasn't a probationary period. She's a fully qualified criminalist one, by God.
Yeah, and she painted herself into a corner with that, unfortunately. Yep. I mean, she all she had to do was just say, like I wasn't working this job for very long. I wasn't trained very well. It's not that great of a department. I mean, I'm sure that would have gotten her in trouble with her superiors, but
I will give her kudos for noting and knowing that there was a criminologist manual, which was better than Dennis Fung, who not only didn't know there was a manual, he didn't know he was supposed to have one in his van. So, yeah.
I don't think he ever read it. I don't think he was, very aware of it at all.
He didn't know it existed. And like the page 1 says this is supposed to be kept in the criminologist van at all times. So
I like when Shek quoted it to him and he would read it to him, like,
yeah.
By the way, sir, this is your job to know these rules, and he was completely unaware.
With Mazzola, I fluctuate between just feeling utter pity for her and then ha ha ha, you got what you deserved. Now I'm in just like, okay, this is.
Well, how much more of her testimony do we have, Jeff?
About 3 more weeks, if we hurry, and we're not hurrying.
Do you want to go through all? I mean, do we?
We've got to, because the last little bit of her testimony is very, very pivotal.
Okay.
In the case.
All right.
That's why we're doing this.
We should get through more of it then.
Yeah, we should. But I mean, this is just like for all of you olds in the house. This is like when Howard Cosell was watching Tex Cobb's last boxing match, 15 rounds. Or of him just being literally nearly beaten to death in the ring. And he was, Tex Cobb was getting pummeled so badly that Howard Cosell, Howard Cosell said that he would never, ever call another boxing match ever again because of how badly Tex Cobb was beaten in the ring. And that's kind of where I'm feeling with this poor woman. She's just getting pummeled.
Well, when you testified on August 23rd, didn't you swear that the last item of evidence collected while you were still at Mr. Simpson's home?
Excuse me, counsel. Page and line.
Now, Ty Cobb was the baseball player. Tex Cobb was the boxer who went on to play the lone biker of the apocalypse in Raising Arizona. Ty Cobb was a legendary baseball player who they cryoed him after his death. They basically cut off his head and put him in a bucket until they can put him back together again in the future.
That's very Shabusiness.
Line 8.
Yeah, except this was intentional on his part.
It's like Taylor Shabusiness meets Vanilla Sky.
Through line 11. Bearing in mind the court's
future
instructions.
I checked this on that. It's not inconsistent with anything. It's just
Sustain.
Well, isn't it true that the last item that Your Honor, I believe that this was gone into on direct examination, reading this
No.
testimony.
No. I'm sustaining the objection under 770, 1335.
Isn't it true, Ms. Mazzola, that the last item that was picked up at Rockingham that
Ted
day
Williams,
was
you're
item
right.
number 16?
That's Ted Williams. Sorry, Ty
last
Cobb
time that
family.
I remember
You're right.
personally being
It's
picked
Ted
up
Williams
was
whose head
item
is in a
16,
bucket.
Yes.
Apologies to the Ty Cobb family. Sorry. Yeah, it is Ted Williams. Sorry. Awkward.
And I believe you said that if an item is picked up by someone else and then given to you, you would also record that in the field notes, correct?
Correct.
You didn't simply record those items that you personally observed the collection of, isn't that correct?
That's correct.
And isn't it true, ma'am, that from the time you collected item 16 until the time you ultimately left Rockingham to return to SID, that you and Fung were standing together the entire time?
No.
Well, on August 23rd, referring to page 762, Your Honor.
You're making me sad, Timothy Schultz. With a $2 super chat. Ah, the ring bell. Even it sounds like a ring bell, doesn't it, instead of a ship. Think Rocky for throw the towel, throw the towel, throw the damn towel. Rip Apollo Creed. You know.
Oh, I should mention it because it makes chat mad. I've never seen any of the Rocky films. None of them. Not one.
This was Rocky IV with Ivan Drago. If he dies, he dies. and also Rip Burt Young, man. Rip Burt Young, who played Paulie Panino, Rocky's best friend in the movies. Played his corner man, yeah. He just died like a few days ago.
Oh, that's very sad.
Like what is it? About a week ago, I guess he died. So yeah, Rip Apollo and Rip Paulie, man. All right. There you go. Thank you for the sad super chat. Yes, Ted Williams' kids. I think they're still fighting over his head. I'm not sure.
Have we
Beginning
made
of line
doggo
24,
cam
that's
progress? I
correct.
feel like we have today.
Let's see.
Not even close.
No?
Were you
You
asked
were
these
showing the
questions and did
little
you
bar.
give these answers back on August 23rd at a hearing in this case? Question. Were you with Mr. Fung the entire time after you picked up the last item at 1700 hours until you departed for your next destination? Answer, I believe I was. Yes. On August 23rd, you were asked that question and you gave that answer, didn't you?
Yes.
And when you were asked that question on August 23rd, you were testifying based on your memory, weren't you?
To the best I remembered, yes.
Well, you never said, ma'am, in regard to that question, I don't recall, I don't know. Did you?
I
It was
said
brutal.
there, I believe so.
And that was one of
And
the
then you said
reasons
yes.
they
I
stopped
believe
doing
I was,
15-round
yes.
fights.
Isn't that your answer?
I believe I was, yes.
Okay.
So that her out. She
You didn't in
believed it
any
at the
way
time.
say, this is something I don't remember, I don't recall if I was with Mr. Fung the entire time, did you?
It's argumentative. The answer stands and speaks for itself, Counsel.
It was a little argumentative.
One moment, Your Honor.
Oh, we're not getting very far today, are we? Oh my gosh.
Are we not? Well, it depends. How far are we going? Oh,
Extremely happy Simmer. And extremely happy
Wow.
Lorax.
hello.
Finally back in the States where my bank won't stop me from sending money to my favorite internet lawyer. I certainly hope that's me. Doggo cam time. It certainly is.
Thank
we've
you
just-
for that wonderfully generous super chat. We appreciate it greatly.
We've just got the problem that the camera is facing 180 degrees away from where the dogs are.
I'm gonna get more tea.
And-
Give me a second while you set that up.
And if damn it, I knew that would happen. All right. It'll take a while for it to reboot. because I had to turn the camera. I had to move it too much. So once that reboots, we'll get Doggo Cam up. Let's see. I don't know how to drink this whiskey. We'd have to do a shot. That's the $100 shot rule. This is the only whiskey I have that I'm going to drink nearby. I have the $300 shit whiskey, the punishment whiskey. But this is Ardbeg 5 Wee Beastie, which we had the other day. It's a little rough around the edges, not nearly as good as Ardbeg 10, but it'll do. It's just a little rough around the edges, not too shabby. Now it's mixed with a little bit of the Angels Share 2 Hands wine, so we'll see how that tastes. Oh, one should not do shots of Isla whiskey.
And why should one not do shots of Isla whiskey?
Because it's really peaty and really smoky, and it's a young, kind of rough around the edges whiskey. Whew. There you go, breathing fire, iodine, and old people and burning tires for a while. It's a great whiskey.
Oh, I love your the palette description. Wait, what happened to the trial?
I clicked the wrong button. That's what happened to the trial. Any other questions? All right, trial's back. Let's see if we've got the Doggo Cam rebooted here yet. No, of course not. All right. We'll give it a couple more minutes. In the meantime, let's get back to it. Thank you so much. Extremely happy Simmer. Dropping the big bucks. Thank you so very much.
That's a new name for me. I haven't seen Extremely Happy Simmer around before. Have you?
Rose by another name would smell as sweet.
Well, thank you very much. It's a lovely, generous super chat. We appreciate it.
Oh my God, and as soon as the camera reboots, they walk 180 degrees again. Damn it.
Of course they do.
And isn't it true, Miss Mazzola?
Hey.
That after item 16 was collected, no other item was recorded in your notes as having been received on June 13th?
At that time, no.
And since you testified back in August with regard to this matter, have other people suggested to you that your failure to substantiate Anandra and Fung's claim that Mr. Simpson's blood was given to Fung on June 13th was a problem for the prosecution's case?
No.
Was there any discussion, Ms. Mazzola, in the laboratory about the fact that the television was reporting DNA test results on socks prior to the actual testing?
Sustained.
To your knowledge, Ms. Mazzola.
Excuse me. Juries disregard the implication of that question.
To your knowledge, Ms. Mazzola,
It's
was
updating.
anyone in the laboratory
Technical
being
difficulties.
investigated in connection with any alleged leaks?
It's updating.
Sustained.
As early as November 1994, Ms. Mazzola, was there a concern in the laboratory about allegations that there had been tampering with Mr. Simpson's blood?
Oh,
What's the clippy cloppy sound?
I
What was
do
that?
not remember if
Oh,
there was
I'm
a
just hearing
concern
a noise.
with the sample.
Well, had there been discussion amongst the lab people at SID with regard to an allegation of tampering with Mr. Simpson's blood?
that's hearsay.
Extremely happy Simmer. The $5 super suggested Chandler. I was the one who chatted my dog stepped on a bee in French. Lol,
Oh.
I've been around.
Ms. Mazzola, you testified
That was
that you
you
had discussed this case with several people in the laboratory. Is that right?
again.
Not really discussed, just watched a bit of TV or listened to the radio a bit.
Well, didn't you
Radio- yeah, listen to
testify
the
on
radio, bitch? Is
cross-examination
that what
last
you said?
week that you
Listen to the
discussed
radio,
your involvement
bitch.
in this case with Michelle Kessler, your boss at SID?
She more or less wanted to give me pointers on
Yes, the dog found the
how
bone
to
again.
communicate. She did not tell me what to say or how to say it.
Can we pause for a second?
Her
I'm-
Yes.
facts.
I feel like this is a really important line of questioning. I mean, asking about, whether there were allegations of tampering with the blood. I feel like there were parts of that, just the audio a little bit, because of whatever your dogs are doing in the background. I missed a little bit of it. So I'm not sure. Did you hear the whole thing? We don't have to go back, but I was just wondering what
We
the
can go
exchange
back.
is. Okay. I just want, I feel like this is probably important.
It
It's
probably is.
significant. Yeah. Because that's a pretty heavy and strong, allegation to make, that there was tampering.
We'll go back like 2 minutes. And we'll actually pay attention.
That after item 16 was collected, no other item was recorded in your notes as having been received on June 13th.
At that time, no.
And since you testified back in August with regard to this matter, have other people suggested to you that your failure to substantiate Van Adder and Fung's claim that Mr. Simpson's blood was given to Fung on June 13th was a problem for the prosecution's case?
No.
Was there any discussion, Ms. Mazzola, in the laboratory about the fact that the television was reporting DNA test results on socks prior to the actual testing?
Sustained.
To your knowledge, Ms. Mazzola,
Excuse me. Curious to disregard the implication of that question.
to your knowledge, Ms. Mazzola, was anyone in the laboratory being investigated in connection with any alleged leaks?
Sustained.
As early as
What?
November 1994, Ms. Mazzola, was there a concern in the laboratory about allegations that there had been tampering with Mr. Simpson's blood?
Oh,
Okay, so asking if there were allegations.
I do not remember if there was a concern over tampering with the sample.
Well, had there been discussion amongst the lab people at SID with regard to an allegation of tampering with Mr. Simpson's blood?
that's hearsay.
I'm offering for her state of mind, Your Honor.
It's hearsay, counsel. It's also irrelevant at this point.
Ms. Mazzola, you testified that you had discussed this case with several people in the laboratory. Is that right?
Not really discussed, just watched a bit of TV or listened to the radio a bit.
Well, didn't you testify on cross-examination last week that you discussed your involvement in this case with Michelle Kessler, your boss at SID?
She more or less wanted to give me pointers on how to communicate. She did not tell me what to say or how to say it.
Did you discuss with her the facts of your alleged
Yes, she
involvement
did.
in this case?
Sustained.
Did you discuss with her the nature or fact, did you discuss with her the nature of your involvement in this case?
Not really.
It's your recollection that the only thing you discussed with Ms. Kessler were pointers on how to conduct yourself on the witness stand?
To the best I remember, yes.
You have no recollection of discussing with her the substance of your involvement in this case?
No.
Is this the reason some judges set
Well-
time limits? Yeah. One of
You
them.
said that on one occasion, I believe as recently as April of 1995, you discussed this case with Ms. Kessler, Mr. Yamauchi, and Mr. Matheson. Is that correct?
We had a short meeting, yes.
And was that meeting simply to discuss pointers on how to conduct yourself on the witness stand?
Yes.
It didn't have any discussion at all, I'm sorry, it didn't include any discussion at all about the extent of your actual involvement in the case?
No.
Isn't it true that you had a discussion about this case in the presence, about the actual involvement in this case, in the presence of Michelle Kessler back in November of 1994?
I
What?
can't remember what happened back in November of 94.
Well, Ms. Mazzola, isn't it a fact that on November 22nd, 1994, you discussed this case, your involvement in this case, in the presence of Michelle Kessler and in the presence of two detective investigators from the district attorney's office? Isn't that a fact?
There was a meeting, yes. I'm not sure of the date.
And at that meeting with Ms. Kessler and the two detectives, you discussed your involvement in this case, didn't you?
Oh,
Objection sustained at this point.
At this point.
at this point,
Thought you were about to finish.
what does that mean, Ito?
No, I'm not.
Oh, did you? Judge Ito's doing it again. Remember how like on day like 2 of Fung's testimony, Judge Ito's like, okay, you have until this afternoon to wrap it up, and he's like, yeah, it's gonna take a little longer in the afternoon. He's just
the
doing
whole
it
Fung
again.
testimony, Ito was just like, tapping his watch basically, and it's just like, it's not gonna happen, dude.
Well, we just got Ito doing it again. I thought you were nearly finished. Oh no. No.
This is not happening on the judge's time. Let's just put it that way.
No. And all of those stupid little hourglasses on his desk don't mean a thing.
How much more do you have?
Days.
On this subject, I have approximately 10 minutes and 15 minutes, and then I'm going into the other matter for which we're waiting for certain items.
What's your time estimate?
I'm sorry?
What is your time estimate on that?
That's that'll take,
2.5
the last
days.
portion of my examination will take, I believe, less than 1 hour.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our recess for the morning session. Please remember all of my
It must be a
admonitions to you.
really
Don't
long,
discuss the case amongst
really long redirect. Because she's
Yeah.
got quite a bit more time on the stand. So this is part 6, week 14, part 6. Let's shut that and then go to part 7. We got part 7, 8, 9, and 10, and then we're done with her.
raise before we invite you to join us.
Now, actually, given what I just heard from Mr. Goldberg, there's 2 matters. You had ordered the people to immediately produce those items of evidence.
Oops.
And I've been informed by Mr. Goldberg that apparently Mr. Matheson tells me it may take another few hours. That should be brought to the court's attention.
All right. Forthwith means as soon as possible.
Okay. Well, you should also know that, as I said before the lunch break, I have about, I'd say 15 more minutes on this area, and then I'm going into the area which requires the production of those items, which will take about 1 hour of cross-examination.
So how do you propose we handle this?
Well, I need those items, Your Honor, and of course, you ruled that they had to bring them over forthwith. I'll finish this area of cross-examination, I think in about 15 to 20.
Put your cameras to the left of the screen because the chat goes on the right when in full screen. Cameras are on the left of the screen.
I'm not sure what that means.
Suggested that the next 2 witnesses that people intend to call are both very short witnesses. One was the photographer and the other was the tow truck driver. We would certainly be willing to allow them to use up the rest of the afternoon with one of those short witnesses. Then we could resume with Ms. Mazzola tomorrow morning once they produce those items of evidence.
Are those witnesses available?
I don't think we will. We could conceivably start with Greg Matheson. You may do that anyway.
All right, well, let's see how far we get.
Okay. Your Honor, I'm sorry. Could Ms. Mazzola step out of the room, Your Honor, with the court's permission to discuss this matter?
What's it deal with?
It deals with, as you may recall, at the end, after a series of questions and answers by Ms. Mazzola, I asked her whether or not she had participated in a meeting with 2 investigators from the DA's office and Ms. Kessler. Where there was an actual.
She indicated yes.
Well, there was an objection. And you said sustained for the time being.
Yes,
Okay?
he did.
And, if I can proceed, then there's no problem.
Ms. Goldberg?
Well, I don't know exactly what counsel intends to get into, but a while ago, there was.
No, we've wasted enough time with this, counsel. This is not a secret as to what we're talking about. She's acknowledged the meeting. You're going to ask her what was discussed during the meeting, correct?
We'll ask what was discussed, especially not the fact that there were certain denials about having these discussions initially.
Well, I don't know exactly which discussions he's talking about for sure. May I just have
Okay. Judge is getting a little tired of it. He's got to make himself comfortable. You're going to be there for a while. Sorry, Judge. As Chandler said, we're not working on your time schedule, apparently. Silence. Silence in the court.
Well, Mr. Darden tells me that it is possible that the subject matter that I think counsel is going to get into was under seal, and that it was a matter that the defense said that they didn't want to pursue. I mean, maybe we're...
All right, Ms. Mazzola, why don't you step out?
Uh-oh.
Thank you.
The judges are going to go at it. The lawyers are going to go at it with the judge. Uh-oh. Yeah.
You guys sure you want to get into this?
They're sure. You're not sure, Judge. Oh, no. We've gone deaf.
Goldberg?
Well, I don't know. There doesn't seem to be a consensus of opinion as to whether or not this subject was sealed. Mr. Cochran says he doesn't know, and Mr. Darden says he thinks it was. And therefore, I don't know whether I can address it in open court. Maybe Mr. Darden could, of course, because I wasn't here for this discussion.
Mr. Darden?
Your Honor, and I may be incorrect, and perhaps Mr. Neufeld can correct me if I am, but as I understand that these questions will relate to an investigation we conducted after we received certain documents presented to the court on November 7th, those documents which I presented to you in chambers when I first appeared in this matter. And as I recall, at that time, the court placed those documents under seal, and there was an indication from the defense that they had no interest in it, it was irrelevant, and that they would not pursue it.
Well, they changed their mind, I guess.
All right, Mr. Neufeld?
Your Honor, I can interject this. As a matter of fact, they indicated they didn't even want the document.
Proceed. Mr. Neufeld?
Your Honor, sorry. What I'm interested in is a meeting which occurred with Ms. Mazzola, Ms. Kessler, and 2 investigators from the district attorney's office. She had said earlier under examination, she never had a discussion when Ms. Kessler was present at which the actual subject matter of this case was ever discussed, or any allegations of tampering ever came up. This was in fact a meeting which was held on November 22nd, 1994, where she's told by the investigators that we are working on the murder case of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman. There's rumors, allegations going around at the crime lab working that some of its swatches in the early stages, right after the collection of blood, tampering going on in OJ's blood, on the swatches, things of that sort. Do you know anything about that at all? And that is the beginning of then a meeting that happens between Ms. Mazzola, Ms. Kessler's present, and these 2 investigators. In light of the fact that she'd already testified that no discussion like this ever occurred. Okay, and she was given a number of opportunities, Your Honor, to answer that question differently.
No, that's not my recollection of her testimony, counsel. She said that she's had a number of conversations, short, long, in between, in passing, with the DAs.
No, not with the DAs. She meant there were DA prep sessions. She said that. But she said that the conversations she had with Ms. Kessler, she just said it about a half hour, toward the very end of the morning, were limited to pointers about her testimony. That's what she said, very explicitly here on the record, Your Honor. This was a discussion when Ms. Kessler was present, which was not about pointers for when she testified as a witness. It was a discussion about the actual substance of her involvement in this case. And that's what I wanted to ask her about. I do not intend to go into any collateral matters or anything of that nature.
Ooh.
I'm simply limited myself to what.
How do you propose to phrase the question?
All of this over this one question.
Give me the exact question you're going to ask
Sure.
after you get the question and answer that, yes, she does now recollect this meeting with the district attorney's
Right.
representatives. And
There's a series of questions. Because I also asked her whether or not there had been whether she was aware of any concern in the
What is
laboratory.
the question and answers that you're going to ask?
Dude, answer the judge. Come on, Donald Sutherland.
Question would be, and didn't the two detective investigators inform you at that meeting where Ms. Kessler was present that they were interviewing
Mr.
you in
Carter.
connection with an investigation they were conducting into allegations that someone tampered with Mr. Simpson's blood vial? Okay, that's the first question. Then there's 2 or 3 questions simply to point out that each time she was asked questions about discussions in Ms. Kessler's presence about the substance of this case or about tampering, that she claimed that those kinds of discussions didn't happen. Then I would ask her, in the 18 months that you've been at the Los Angeles Police Department, have you ever been questioned by DA investigators about allegations of evidence tampering in the other context, in the other case? Again, simply to suggest that this is not something that she would have forgotten. I asked her whether or not she would agree that an allegation or investigation into tampering is not is not your typical encounter that you'd have. Again, there's just a whole series of questions about.
Yeah, the defense doesn't want these questions in. These are not helpful.
And then, Your Honor, what I'm going to bring to her attention is the fact that during this meeting, Michelle Kessler, fully aware of the fact that she already testified on August 23rd, that she never saw any transfer of blood and never saw anything else passed after items 15 and 16, isn't the fact that during the session held with these investigators and with Michelle Kessler, that didn't Michelle Kessler suggest to you that you actually saw Vanetta pass the blood to Fung? And the reason I want to bring that out, which is something that happened during that meeting, is I believe, Your Honor, it goes to this witness's bias and interest to testify a certain way in this case. I think there's no question that she is a probationer employee at the LAPD. I'm sorry, Your Honor?
Was.
Okay, certainly was at the time that this encounter occurred back in November.
All right, I'll hear from the people.
Is K-Grift, I have the sudden urge to buy a chia pet.
I think that's going to require a joint response from Mr. Goldberg and myself, Your Honor. Well, let me just indicate this. We conducted a meeting investigation based on allegations brought forth by the defense last year, or last November. The allegations contained in the documents that I've alluded to already. As I read and understood the documents, they suggested that somehow Ms. Mazzola was somehow involved in some misconduct, and an internal investigation may have been done by the LAPD. I don't know. We did an investigation. If the court were to go back and look at the documents I surrendered to the court would note that they contain the content of conversations allegedly had between Mr. Cochran and Mr. Douglas with the author of those documents.
We haven't seen Darden in a while.
In danger, perhaps, of creating a situation where Mr. Cochran and Mr. Douglas may somehow be witnesses.
Well, this is the first time I'm hearing him talk.
We are in danger of heading in a direction where we may have a mini trial on the issues raised in that particular document. I think it's dangerous. I think it's irrelevant. It would cause undue consumption of the court's time. Mr. Neufeld has been at Ms. Mazzola for 2 days now on cross-examination. I don't think that the defense case is going to be harmed in any way or to any degree if they're not allowed to go into this area, but it is a dangerous area. We cannot sit by and allow Mr. Neufeld to ask those types of questions without explaining to the jury why those conversations took place in the first place.
Yeah, I know the jury's not in their room right now. But this is the same problem that Darden had during his opening statements. He's just lifeless. He's just like, meh. There's no passion.
Flat, yeah. Yeah, I haven't heard him talk before. I think this is the first time, in the whole time of doing OJ that I've actually heard him speak. So he's like this in his questioning as well, and in his in his
Yeah,
way.
he's just very. I mean, you don't have to be all theatrical and pontificating and being all theatrical in front of the judge. But
well, no, yes, you do when Barry Scheck is on defense.
but I mean, just that. We certainly can't let them get away with it. I mean, if you're going to say that, say at least use a little passion. But
Just like a dead fish. It's really, yeah. It's too bad because I mean I think that he's an excellent attorney, and I know that he worked really hard on this case. I admire him, I respect him, but he just his delivery was very just it's got no energy to it.
Yeah. Anyway, let's continue. We can't let him get away with this.
So I'd ask the court to
Do
disallow counsel from going into that area.
Your objection is under 352, I take it then.
It is, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Goldberg, anything to add to that?
That's why you're the judge and I'm the law-talking guy.
The lawyer.
Right.
Do you have anything else you want to add to that?
Well, I'm taking from the court's indication that the court doesn't feel it needs to hear anything else.
No, do you want it? Is there anything factually or legally you need to add to that?
Well, the only thing that
Just because I invite counsel to speak doesn't mean that they have to say something just to say something.
I was just trying to read the court.
Don't invite
No,
them.
don't assume that I've already made up my mind. I'm just.
Well, Your Honor, I'd like to address legally, number one, is there any inconsistencies between what she was asked by Mr. Neufeld and what he proposes to impeach?
True story.
I guess that is the legal basis upon which she wants to introduce this as impeachment.
The community.
And it's my recollection that what she was asked were several questions about whether she discussed with Michelle Kessler the substance of this case or her involvement in this case. This has nothing to do with her involvement in this case. This is a fantasy that was somehow created by some author. I'm not sure where the exact source is or whether it is in fact attributable to the defense in any way. I don't know what the resolution on that was. But the point is that it is a fictitious set of events that apparently neither party subscribes to, that she is being questioned about. And how can you argue that that is discussing her involvement in the case? I think what we've seen here has been cross-examination through innuendo, where the defense has been allowed to ask a lot of questions that, quite frankly, I am not used to having seen about, did the prosecution tell you to do this? And weren't you told to say this? And are you lying because of that? And did someone suggest to you the following? And it's all...
All she has to do is say no.
Place innuendo for this jury as to things that the defense does not have a good faith belief occurred.
And
Am I
most of
wrong?
your objections have been sustained and the jury's been admonished.
I realize that, Your Honor, but I think that this fits into the mold. It's as soon as you start asking a witness, have you been investigated? Did they ask you about allegations of tampering and so on, and whether you had anything to do with it? It is not coming in for any substantive impeachment purpose, but to put a rumor, an allegation, an innuendo in front of this jury. And I don't think that it should be allowed under 352 because there is no real impeachment value here. And there is tremendous danger of confusing, misleading this jury, and spending a lot of time trying to sort out an issue that I'm not sure that is in either side's interest, ultimately.
Wait, hold on a second.
The prosecution could not allow those kinds
Yes.
of allegations.
Yes.
I'm just trying to figure out what's going on here, because it seems like when they ask these questions, was there, some kind of investigation into tampering with evidence in the lab? Am I naive to ask the question, well, couldn't she just say no if that wasn't an occurrence? I mean, if that did happen, shouldn't we hear about it?
We should, but
Well, what's this
they're gonna
rule
be
that he's
arguing-
citing? He's citing
I
some
don't know.
rule. You're not familiar.
No.
So, I mean, was there tampering? Was that, was there actually an investigation into that? Did that occur?
Well, I certainly think they planted some of the evidence.
But
There was
But was
rumors of it.
it sounds like there might have been an internal investigation into tampering with some of the evidence in this particular case. Now, if the results were that they did not find tampering and they were able to rule that out, then I could see how that questioning could be misleading. But I'm just curious as to why defense would not be allowed to ask those questions because wouldn't it look good
prejudicial? Maybe, I don't know. Let's see how
but
it all
wouldn't it look
works
good for the
out.
prosecution for Mazzola to be able to say, no, that didn't happen? I mean, it sounds like something happened that we need to hear about. It sounds relevant.
Well, the defense wouldn't ask them what the result was. Have you ever heard there was these allegations of it? And they would leave it there.
Okay, so the prejudice. So it's
And
more
then,
prejudicial than probative because it implies malfeasance?
And I mean, you could do that, and then the judge could say, well, that's what redirect is for.
Well, let me ask you a personal question, Jeff. Do you think that this is more prejudicial or more probative to ask a question like that? Like, if you were the judge, how would you rule?
Not knowing exactly what the California rules of evidence and case law is, et cetera, my gut feeling, without there actually being some evidence to support it, I would probably not let it in.
Okay.
Then you're just letting wild speculation in.
Right, but couldn't they address it on redirect? Like, couldn't they just go, couldn't they, okay, let's say the defense asks this question and she says, yes, there was an investigation, then, on redirect, Doogie Howser here can, he can go up to Ms. Mazzola and he can say, do you know the results of that investigation? What, was there any finding of malfeasance? Like, is that not, I'm sorry, like, I mean, maybe I don't know all the rules.
Didn't you hear there were rumors that everybody in the LA County police put on white hoods and ran around on horses and burnt a cross on somebody's front lawn and threw blood all over the lawn? It's just a rumor. You can come back on cross and go on redirect and go, that didn't really happen though, did it? I don't know.
I just feel like if there was an investigation, that the jury should hear about that, but I can understand. I don't know. It's hard for I actually can't decide personally whether I feel like it's more prejudicial, more probative. It's challenging.
Well, first we don't know if there was an actual investigation or not.
Well, yeah, but don't you want to know?
Well, I want to know, but should a jury know? That's the question. If it's just a rumor the defense is making up, then it shouldn't be allowed in.
Well, no, absolutely not. But if there was an investigation, I think that we should know about that. I mean, I'm just wondering if you remember. Maybe we should just keep watching and see what goes on.
Probably.
I'm curious, yeah.
Because I don't remember.
And rumors to be placed before the jury without trying to put them into context. And I'm sure the court would allow us the opportunity to do so. And that's going to involve additional witnesses and explanations that are really going to get us away from the issues in this case, which are related to the evidence collection, testing results, and the defendant's guilt or innocence. And I don't see how putting these kinds of rumors before the jury is going to help resolve.
All right. Thank you, counsel. No, thank you. I've heard both arguments. All right. I'm going to allow Mr. Neufeld to ask a question, whether or not Ms. Mazzola recalls having a meeting that involved Ms. Kessler, I think she was then the interim head of the lab, and 2 investigators from the district attorney's office.
There you go.
He'll be allowed to ask whether or not the subject matter of that discussion was in fact the collection of evidence with regards to this particular case. He'll be allowed to ask those questions as to those issues, whether or not she recollected those discussions.
So
since
nothing
that appears to be inconsistent with required testimony.
So nothing about the
jury, please.
tampering.
That's one of the items of collection.
I'm sorry?
May I ask about the vial? Because that's one of the items of collection. Just to be more precise when I ask that question.
You can ask her if the discussion involved the vial, if it involved the vial and its booking.
I may not ask her whether Michelle Kessler said something specifically to her.
You can ask her that question, whether or not something was said to her about that. Okay. Without suggesting what that was.
Without suggesting
specifically what that was.
Okay. Curious.
This was any kind of an investigation, or she was subject to an investigation.
I've just outlined the 3 items I'm going to allow. All right, let's have the witness. Let's have the jury, please.
I'm sorry. I just asked for 1 minute so I can change my questions here, so I do not say anything that's inappropriate and that's outside what.
Be my guest.
Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm Winston Wolfe. I solve problems.
We've now been rejoined by all the members of our jury panel. Ms. Mazzola is again on the witness stand, undergoing cross-examination by Mr. Neufeld.
And Judge Ito is loud.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're taking just a moment to allow Mr. Neufeld to make a few adjustments before we resume, but I thought we'd get you in here and get you settled before, so we can get started. Take your time, Mr. Neufeld.
This is interesting. It's finally getting a little interesting here.
Good afternoon. Sorry for the delay. Good afternoon, Ms. Mazzola.
Good afternoon.
Ms. Mazzola, isn't it a fact that on November 22nd, 1994, you discussed your involvement in this case in the presence of your boss, Mrs. Kessler, and the presence of 2 detective investigators from the district attorney's office?
We had a meeting, yes.
Yes.
And at that meeting, you discussed your actual involvement in this case, didn't you?
Overruled. Collection of evidence.
You discussed your involvement in the collection of items of evidence in this case, didn't you?
No.
So then what did you discuss?
Did you discuss how you became involved in this case with those detective investigators?
That's vague.
Did you discuss what role you played in the collection of evidence, both on the 13th and 14th of June?
No.
Isn't it a fact that during that meeting with the detectives that you said to them that your job, didn't you say to those detectives during that meeting that it was your job to collect blood stains on the 13th and to collect stains on the 14th from the Bronco? Didn't you say that during that meeting?
Overruled.
I don't remember saying that.
Now, at that same meeting, Ms. Kessler was present, wasn't she?
Yes, she was.
And at that meeting, didn't Ms. Kessler indicate to you and to the investigators that you were present when Van Atta passed the blood to Mr. Fung?
Was anything discussed about the collection of the blood vial?
I don't remember, Your Honor.
Convenient. But
Yeah, very.
she doesn't remember. She doesn't remember.
Ms. Mazzola, that during that meeting with the 2 detective investigators and Michelle Kessler, your boss, Michelle Kessler said to you, "Let me fill you in on a couple of points."
Let me fill you in on a couple of points here.
Sustained.
At any point during that meeting, did Michelle Kessler suggest to you that you actually saw the pass-off of OJ's blood to Dennis Fung?
Overruled.
I don't remember if she mentioned anything about that or not.
Well, when you say you don't, I have a very brief sidebar, Your Honor, so I don't go into something that
No, proceed. You can ask her what she means.
You can go into something.
you said you don't recall whether that came up. Is that right?
That's correct.
Have you ever listened to a tape recording made of that meeting?
No.
Oh.
Are you aware of the fact that a tape recording was made of that interview with you?
I seem to remember that a tape recording was made.
She
Were you
seems.
told at that meeting that a tape recording was made, or were you told that sometime later?
I was told at the meeting, yes.
Isn't it a fact, Ms. Mazzola, that that tape recording of the meeting was made surreptitiously? Your Honor?
Overruled. You can answer the question.
They told me that it would be taped. That was all right with me. I had no problem with it.
What's next in order?
11.
Wait. Hold up. If it was surreptitiously made, then why are we going over this? Doesn't that seem like it's
Show you this
inadmissible?
document.
You show that to Mr. Goldberg.
I guess she's proving that it's not. Okay.
But she has a solo cup, so.
If she was okay with the recording and they told her at the time,
All right. Show it
then
to-
she consented to it. But if there were other parties present who didn't consent, I don't know.
She seems to be remembering much less than she was remembering at the beginning of her testimony.
Wait, what's this whole thing with the surreptitious aspect of the recording? I don't understand that. Did not all parties have an awareness of the recording? That's a weird question.
Guess no, I don't know. I don't have any answers, Chandler.
Well, if it was
I don't know.
surreptitiously made, California is a two-party consent
Yeah.
state as far as recording is concerned. Everybody knows that it's a really important law. You cannot record somebody unless they consent. So if all members of that discussion were aware and consented,
then it's not surreptitious.
Mazzola, is
Exactly.
The
the fact
implication, I guess, is
that interview on November 22nd was surreptitiously recorded by the investigators from the DA's office.
Overruled.
That's what the piece of paper says.
Does that refresh your recollection as to that fact?
Not really.
Proceed.
it's handy. Don't strike the witness's comment. It was her comment. She shouldn't be fucking commenting.
This morning, when I asked you about the subject matter of all conversations you had regarding this case where Ms. Kessler was present, you said that the only discussions dealt with giving you pointers for when you became a witness. Isn't that correct?
Overruled.
No, kind of accurately stated the testimony.
Excuse me. The meetings that we had at SID were about the courtroom testimony.
Well, this meeting that occurred November 22nd, ma'am, was Ms. Kessler present at that meeting
Yes, she was.
with the two detective investigators from the DA's office, correct?
Correct.
And where was that meeting held?
At a restaurant near Piper Tech.
And when I asked you what discussions you had with Ms. Kessler about this case, I didn't limit it to the discussions that you had at SID, did I?
I do not believe so.
Right? So this discussion that occurred on November 22nd, 1994, which was tape recorded, was not limited to pointers for you to use when a witness in this trial, correct?
I was not having the discussion with Miss Kessler. She was present, but I was not having a
Ma'am.
discussion with her.
She was about 4.5 days, maybe 5.
Thank you, Counsel. Proceed.
I wonder if that recording is in discovery or not.
Ms. Mazzola, there has Dennis Fung testified that
No idea.
you were carrying the blood vial of Mr. Simpson's in a black trash bag when you left Mr. Simpson's home in the late afternoon of June 13th. Let me ask you, ma'am.
Your Honor, that comment is improper. It's not a question.
Sustained.
Well, Ms. Mazzola, at any time, did you ever carry or handle OJ Simpson's blood vial?
Not to my knowledge.
What do you mean, not to your knowledge? You did or you didn't? If you handled it, you should sign the chain of custody at some point and know what
And
you're
that's still your
handling.
position as you sit here today?
It was not to my knowledge at the time. I was not told that I was carrying the blood vial.
Okay. Did there come a time subsequently where you believed that you were carrying the blood vial?
Overruled.
Your point about chain of
Not
custody is
carried,
apt.
but had carried.
Okay. Did there come a time where you learned that you had carried the blood vial?
Yes.
Gosh, she's a real stickler for the details, huh?
And did you learn that in the discussion that you had with Dennis Fung after you had testified on August 23rd?
No.
So if they poured a
Isn't it true,
bucket
Ms.
of
Mazzola,
OJ Simpson's blood over
that
her
as
head,
late
would
as
she be
November
carried?
22nd, 1994, you were taking the position that you had never
took me a
carried or
second to get that.
handled Mr. Simpson's blood vial?
that I had not personally handled it.
That was the position you were taking as late as November 22nd, 1994, correct?
That I did not personally handle the vial itself.
Well, let me ask you this, Ms. Mazzola. As of November 22nd, 1994, had you already come to believe that you had personally carried Mr. Simpson's blood vial?
It's not relevant to state minds of the issue.
Overruled.
I had found out that I had carried it, yes.
And when did you find out that you had carried it?
I am not positive, but I believe it was on the 14th of June of 94.
Did you carry it to term?
Ms. Mazzola,
Did you carry it to that gate where they found that drop?
would you agree, Ms.
With the
Mazzola, that
anticoagulants?
handling the vial and carrying the vial basically mean the same thing?
Well, sorry.
Overruled. You can ask her what she means by that.
I don't think carrying and handling would necessarily be the same thing.
Well,
Mazzola?
I'm handling my
Not
tea, but I'd
Really,
be carrying it if I was
to me,
moving.
did not mean the same thing.
So when you tell someone that you never handled Mr. Simpson's blood vial, that didn't mean to you that you had never carried Mr. Simpson's blood
Usually
vial.
like
Is that
handling
correct?
it was sort of being like
That's correct.
manipulating it or something. I don't know.
And
I think
if
handling is
you
just
were
touching.
asked
Yeah.
by
Holding.
someone whether or not you ever handled Mr. Simpson's blood vial, and you knew that you had carried it, but not actually put your hand on the tube itself.
She's never put a hand on a tube in her
You
life.
believe that it is fair answer to state that, no, I never handled it?
Argumentative, also conclusion.
Overruled.
If I had not physically
I didn't touch Johnny. I
manipulated the blood
handled
vial, I
Johnny
did not.
Amber Heard.
handle it,
Well,
Just
that's my
semantics.
question, ma'am. So if the person asked you whether you had handled it, but in your own mind, you had carried it, do you feel that it's fair for you then to answer that question in the negative? No, I hadn't handled it.
Yes.
yes.
And you feel that that answer is an honest response to that question?
Yes. I'm with
Yes.
Mazzola on this
And
one.
so when these detective investigators asked you on November 22nd, 1994,
It's hearsay.
well, didn't you state to the detective investigators that you had never handled OJ Simpson's blood sample? Didn't you say that to them on November 22nd, 1994?
Overruled.
I did not handle the blood sample.
And so is it your testimony that you in fact said to the investigators on November 22nd, 1994, that you had never handled Mr. Simpson's blood sample?
Ask and answer.
Overruled. Do you recall saying that to the investigators?
I don't recall.
All right, let's move on.
Let me see if this will refresh your
I
recollection.
don't recall anything that's going to make me look bad.
Exactly. Convenient. I would like to ask you a question.
I feel like she and Fung are like they get really tricky with like the semantical ambiguities. You know, they really fight on that. Kind of annoying.
Showing her defense 1120.
But they're probably trained to do it.
Ms. Mazzola, having looked at defendant's exhibit 1120, does that refresh your recollection as to whether or not you told the detective investigators that you had never handled OJ Simpson's blood sample?
That says that I did not handle Mr. Simpson's blood sample.
I'm not asking you whether or not you handled it. I'm asking you whether or not seeing this document refreshes your recollection as to whether you told the detective investigators that you had never handled OJ Simpson's blood vial.
Motion to strike the witness's last answer is not responsive.
Overruled.
That does not refresh my memory, no.
I'll be right back.
You do that. You want the blood vial?
Ms.
You
Mazzola,
can't handle the blood
Since you
vial.
testified on August 23rd to not seeing the blood vial given to Mr. Fung, has anyone suggested to you that your testimony poses a problem for the prosecution?
Ooh, little objection. Yeah.
Ms. Mazzola, didn't you testify on August 23rd that you did not see a blood vial passed to Dennis Fung by Detective Van Adder?
Sustained. It's also hearsay.
I find your questions objectionable. Hello, darkness, mild friend. The sound of silence. Restless streams I walked alone. Narrow streets of cobblestone. Neath the halo of a street lamp.
Ms. Mazzola, referring to page 762. Were you asked these questions and did you give these answers?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor, have this.
Referring to line 8, beginning on line 8.
On 762.
Yes.
Eight to what?
27. I'm sorry.
Who's blocking you for your opinion?
7,
Nobody blocked you for your opinion, Jack.
3,
Nobody's paying really much attention
line
to you.
7. Do you have it? Do you have it? Excuse me. Were you asked these questions and did you give these answers? Question.
Your Honor, I object.
And-
Grounds that-
Nobody should be blocking
Sustained.
anybody for opinions. Yeah.
Well,
As long as you're getting along and not abusing
Ms.
each other,
Mazzola.
not being abusive to each other, you know,
when you were asked this morning about
opinions
sessions you
are
had
allowed.
where Ms. Kessler was present, had you simply forgotten this meeting with Ms. Kessler and the 2 detective investigators?
Asked and answered argument.
Sustained. Sorry, been asked and answered.
Yeah.
When was the first time, Ms. Mazzola, that you saw the videotape of you carrying the black trash bag from Mr. Simpson's house?
I believe I saw it on TV, on regular news.
And when was the first time that you saw the videotape of Fung standing in the foyer holding something in his hands?
I don't know, maybe a week ago or so. I'm not positive the exact date.
And when, Ms. Mazzola,
Yeah,
was
I
the
know.
first time that you told the prosecutors that you had left Mr. Fung's side and
That's
sat on
odd.
the couch
I didn't
with
see
your eyes
it, but
closed?
whoever did it, you know, whatevs.
That was a while ago.
No harm, no foul.
When?
Everybody's back together,
I
and
don't
we're all
remember
one
exactly
happy
when.
Lorax family.
You don't remember which meeting it was with the prosecutors?
No,
Who was present?
I didn't see anybody get blocked.
I
didn't,
don't remember.
I see the
exact
messages, but I
people.
didn't see anything.
Well,
Whatevs.
as best you can recall, give me the names of the people who were there.
I can't recall.
Do you recall where this discussion took place?
Yes,
Or will take place in this building.
yes, it did.
Oh, Marcia just
Ms.
let out a
Mazzola.
big sigh.
You say now that you collected items 15 and 16 later than 1700 hours. Is that correct?
I collected one of those items, yes.
And that item was item 16?
Counsel, we've been over this.
It's just foundation. I'm going to something else, and then actually I'm going to be finished with the subject in about 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
3 minutes. Let's
16.
see.
But you were present when Mr. Fung collected item 15. Is that right?
I was not in the exact room with him when he collected a 15.
After he collected item 15.
Well, if you weren't in the room with him, then you
Yes.
certainly weren't with him when he collected
15
it.
and 16.
Yes.
And what did you do with items 15 and 16?
The detectives and Mr.
It has.
Not this, Your Honor. This has not been asked at all. What she did with items 15 and 16 at the point that she collected them in the house.
Court stands corrected. You understand the question?
Ooh,
I believe so.
good one there,
Go ahead,
Neufeld.
ask the question.
You got him. You got the judge.
They went looking for a bag that we could put the items in because of all the media outside.
And you were present when a detective was asked to do that?
There were several looking for something to put the items
Truth?
in.
And were you present when somebody came back with a garbage bag?
Yes.
And was that garbage bag handed to you because you had those items?
Yes.
And what did you do with the items after you were given the trash bag?
Put the items in the bag.
And the items you put in the bag were items 15 and 16?
Yes.
Then you continue to hold the bag?
For a short while.
And during that short while, you were standing in the foyer?
I don't recall where I was standing exactly.
Well, you were with Dennis Fung, weren't you?
At that point, yes.
And then there came a time when you said you sat down on the couch.
Yes.
And you would agree that your testimony about sitting down on the couch and leaving Dennis Fung's side is inconsistent with your testimony on August 23rd when you testified you were with him the whole time. Isn't that correct?
Oh. But you need to give us page and line and testimony, counsel.
Page 762. Beginning of line 24.
As phrased this question, the state's
No.
Okay, it's been 2.5
Read the
minutes.
question and answer, but we've already read this question and answer before.
I know, that's why I'm saving time, Your Honor.
What are the odds he's going to finish in 30 seconds?
Well, I object to this.
Read it. It's brief.
I'm sorry?
Read it. It is brief.
Okay. On August 23rd, when you testified under oath, were you asked this question, did you give this answer? Question, were you with Mr. Fung the entire time after you picked up that last item at 1700 hours until you departed for your next destination? Answer, I believe I was, yes. Were you asked that question, did you give that answer under oath on August 23rd?
Yes.
And you're saying now, at this trial, that that's not correct.
At that time, I believed I had been at his side the whole time.
And now you believe that you left his side, is that correct?
Now I know I was not at his side the entire time.
And did you see any photographs to help you to change your recollection with regard to that?
No.
Did you see or review any reports or documents to change your recollection as to what you did vis-a-vis staying by Mr. Fung's side the entire time?
No.
Did you talk to any person who suggested to you that you had left Mr. Fung's side and went into the living room and closed your eyes?
No.
So is it fair to say that there were no external documents, reports, photographs, videotapes, or conversations with anyone
Seemed
else
a little
that
argumentative,
helped you
but
to change your mind from your testimony on August
Well, Skippy.
23rd, 1994? Is that correct?
That's correct.
And isn't it fair to say, ma'am, that on August 23rd, 1994, your recollection of where you were at Mr. Simpson's house at
was
approximately
more
5 to
fresh than
5:30
it is today.
was better
Yeah.
than it is now 10 months later?
Classic question. right
Not
there.
necessarily.
Oh, Jesus. For fuck's sake. Okay, that's one of my trigger points. That is literally one of my fucking trigger points.
What, not necessarily?
No, yeah, when you ask the question, isn't it true that your memory would be better 10 months ago, right around the time this happened, than it is today? Of course it's fucking better 10 months. I mean, who's going, no, my memory is much better now than it was like right when everything happened. Who's going to say that?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, okay, the trustworthiness of a witness. You know, I'm the jury, right? I'm listening to a witness. I'm trying to figure out, can I trust this witness's testimony? And when they do stuff like this, where they're arguing and quibbling over the littlest itty bittiest, you know, details, that makes me not trust them. You know, just like be straight up, be straightforward, be honest. It's not making you look good, hun.
No, see, it's not necessarily that sets me off. It's the fact that, I mean, like that's why you write reports immediately after things happen. You don't go, oh, well, let me wait a few years for my memory to get better. Why would I write it down right now, 5 minutes after I did it? When if I just wait 2 years, my memory will be much better.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Exactly.
I mean, so that the only answer to that should be, you don't like to say yes because then they're going to fuck you with whatever you said 10 months ago.
Yeah, it's
But
just not honest.
just take
That's
it.
the issue. It's just, it's not honest of her, and it shows that she's not honest. It shows that she's not being sincere and that she's not trustworthy. You know, if she just said, yeah, my memory was better 10 months ago. I mean, why can't you just admit that? You know, it's like she's deliberately being cagey.
And then say, oh, I forgot now or whatever. Yeah, oh yeah, it was better and I forgot. God, that is just a trigger for me. I hate when people do that. No, my memory is much better 5 years later.
Well, I think that defense very clearly laid out that, you know, the cops were liars in this case, which is the reason that OJ did not get convicted. Well, it's one of the many reasons, but I mean, you know,
sorry to just freak out.
I'm sorry, but I think there was tampering and I think that there was malfeasance. I just do.
See, and that just goes back to my old thing, you know, though the cops go, oh my God, this is OJ Simpson. We got him. Let's just make sure we really get him. And in the process of making sure we really get him, you get caught and then you get fucked by the jury.
Yeah, I'm sorry. My blood does not contain anticoagulants. So, you know, if I cut myself on something and, you know, you find a blood drop of mine on a fence, it's not going to have anticoagulants in it. That's not natural. You're not going to find one bloody glove at the crime scene and one bloody glove at the killer's house. It's just not going to happen.
I've seen it in real life in like low level, you know, just Joe Schmo on the street cases where the cops will do something to just cross a little extra T and dot a little extra I. Yeah. When they had the guy dead to rights, they just wanted to make it a little better. So why wouldn't they do it in a huge case like this?
I mean, it's like with her, you know, just she is so difficult to pin down. And the problem is that, you know, let's face it, okay? You've got they very carefully selected this jury. This is a majority Black jury. And I am almost entirely certain that at this time, this was when this was like right after Rodney King. So
1995.
You know,
so it would have been like 3 years later.
It's not like Black people trusted the cops before that, but you know, this certainly isn't helping. And I know that these people aren't like, you know, like beat cops on the street, but like they're cops. Make no mistake, they represent LAPD. They're part of LAPD. So, you know, this is not gonna work for this jury. And I'm not surprised that the jury was not, you know, especially like these two individuals who are just like very, very clearly, you know, they're forming like this story in their mind. And this isn't working.
Yep.
Anyway.
Yeah, it just annoys me. Let's see how she goes and responds. So let's see her. Not necessarily how that plays.
Not necessarily. Oh, my memory's much better now. God.
Yeah, my memory's great. Much better 10 months later.
Do you believe, ma'am, that with the passage of those additional months, your memory becomes sharper?
Up until the Griffin hearing, I had not really thought of the case at all. Since then, I have been thinking about it.
This case, Ms. Mazzola, was, as you said, the first case where you were primarily responsible for evidence collection, correct?
Correct.
And this case had received a tremendous amount of publicity from the very day that you were involved in the collection until the time that you testified at the Griffin hearing, didn't you? Didn't it?
Yes.
And you followed that publicity because you were involved in the case, didn't you?
No,
You didn't follow any of it?
I tried to avoid it.
You didn't watch it on television?
If I could get away with it, no.
You didn't read about it in the newspapers?
No.
Even though it involved your own personal involvement?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't believe that, but all right,
Now,
whatever.
in your
Either.
current memory of what transpired back at Mr. Simpson's house, after you left Mr. Fung's side, where did you go?
I went into the living room.
And was that after about, what, 5 or 10 minutes standing in the foyer with Mr. Fung?
I don't recall where I was standing with Mr. Fung, and I don't recall how long.
Well, you said that you first came into the house, and on the way in, you picked up item 16, right?
Correct.
And then a couple of minutes later, a few minutes later, Mr. Fung picked up item 15. Isn't that right?
Correct.
And then you were standing in the foyer with Mr. Fung and with other detectives. Isn't that right?
I did not believe that we were standing in the foyer. It could have been in the kitchen. I don't recall.
And you were standing there with other detectives.
Correct.
And during those minutes that you were standing there, you asked if someone could get you a trash bag to put items in.
I believe Mr. Fung and others went looking for a bag.
And then someone brought a bag back for you.
Correct.
And you put the items 15 and 16 into that bag.
Correct.
And did you also put the cards, those photo ID cards back into the bag at that point?
Yes.
This has been
You brought
longer
it in.
than 2
Yes.
minutes.
And you held that bag.
3 minutes, sorry.
Yes.
And then you walked into the living room to sit down.
At some point, yes.
And didn't you take that bag with you when you went to sit down?
I don't believe I had the bag at my side when I went to sit down.
Why did you give up the bag, ma'am?
There was no reason to carry it with me.
What'd you do? Did you put it on the floor?
I believe I had put it out where we had our kits previously in the foyer.
Where were your kids?
In the foyer.
And you simply left this bag with evidence in it next to your kid in the foyer?
The kit
Oof.
was not there, but that is where we had the kits before, and the area was secured.
And you simply left it there and then walked into the living room?
Yes.
And after you went to the living room, you then sat down on the couch?
I sat down, yes.
And as you sit here today, ma'am, do you have an independent recollection of your eyes being closed while you're sitting in that living room couch?
I believe they were closed for a partial period of the time.
Ms. Mazzola, did you invent this notion that your eyes were closed so that Mr. Fung could testify that he received the vial without you seeing it?
Sustained.
Yeah, argumentative, but
Ms. Mazzola, do you
The
have
jury
independent
heard it.
recollection without the help of a videotape of you picking up the hat and the glove at Bundy? Without seeing that videotape?
Not a clear recollection, no.
Yet you have an independent recollection that while you were sitting on a couch, you closed your eyes? You have that recollection 10 months later?
Yes.
You're on a subject to the other items of evidence. I'm
What a liar. Oh my
have to suspend the
God.
cross-examination at this point.
This woman is so dishonest.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there are
A
a
lying
number of
property now.
physical
Yeah.
evidence items that are not available to the court at this moment that Mr. Neufeld wanted to ask questions about. Rather than waste additional court time waiting for those items to be brought to court, which I anticipate will happen today, I'm going to ask Mr. Goldberg to commence with his redirect examination. Mr. Goldberg,
All
are
right.
you ready to commence, or do you need a few moments?
okay, so this is interesting. They're going to do some redirect. Then when the evidence shows up, they're going to go back to cross, and then they're going to go back to the redirect after that.
Okay, that's why this took so long. I see. Wow. Okay. Kind
Wow.
of
Well, that's
unconventional, but all right. I mean,
that was
I guess it makes sense.
yeah. It was 9 minutes rather than 3, but it seemed like about 4 hours. So you know.
I felt like longer.
Well, where'd it go? Alan Walsh says, I wouldn't like to be hanging by the balls with his 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I wouldn't like it at all. Forget how long it was. But yeah, that's kind of what we have for OJ today, folks. We went 38 minutes overtime so that he could finish his couple of minutes of questioning.
I had fun.
But that just shortens the time we have to deal with Mazzola in the future.
Sure.
We should be able to get through this next week, and then there'll be like 1 or 2 weeks after this. So 3 weeks. I'm putting 3 weeks. I'm giving you 3 Neufeld weeks to finish Mazzola here. So
And then what?
we'll see
And
how
then
many
what are we doing after that?
Well, likely, possibly, we'll do closing arguments. Quite possibly.
Okay, sounds good.
That's my feeling. The VVs. We'll see how it goes. But yes, folks. So the 118 of you that stuck it out here, thank you so much for our little retrospective. And what Chandler was getting at is we're thinking of wrapping this up after Mazzola, just doing closing arguments, the verdict, and then moving on to a different trial.
Yeah, we have an interesting case that we've been discussing. I don't want to spoil it unless Jeff wants to talk about it. But
we won't spoil it because someone will steal it. They'll steal our idea. They've done it before.
I think it'll be a fun surprise, and I think you guys are going to enjoy it. That's all I'm going to say.
And I've even got one trial for the trial after the next trial.
Well, you're very prepared.
I am what we call in the law business tired AF. I'm gonna wake up in a few hours, and it's Friday here, so yay Friday, yay if you will. Yeah. So thank you everybody that was here today. Great to have you here, mods. Thank you for being super moddy and doing all your cool mod stuff. Before we get too far into this, Chandler, give us your final grift of the day.
Sure. You guys can catch me on Flux's channel later, House of Flux. We're going to be talking about Project Bluebeam. Tomorrow, probably laid back news on Eric Hunley's channel. I'm going to be doing, I think, an episode of F Feminism on my own stream. It's been a minute. And then I'm going to be on Megan Fox's channel, doing a reading of something connected to the Maya Kowalski case with Legal Vices. And Saturday, I will be on Sauced Saturdays on Aussie Overlord. So that's what's coming up for me. You'll see me on the Audacity Network, Pearl's new channel, in November. So looking forward to that. Going to record something for that today.
All right, that sounds decent. Like I said, we're sharing most of that. Tomorrow I'm going to be doing, because it's Halloween, spooky Halloween, I thought we would read some H.P. Lovecraft stories. If you missed that earlier on in the show and I mentioned that, we'll read a few H.P. Lovecraft horror stories. And we've
even got H.P. Lovecraft scary monster voice for some of the stories where we need spooky scary voice.
But other than that, and then for one of the stories.
Yes.
We might even have the spooky little doll voice.
Oh, that gives me chills. Oh, that's creepy.
Yeah. So anyway, we got a couple of voices lined up. We'll read a few of the spooky stories. If you guys like it, we might do it on Halloween. If you think it was stupid and you never want to hear me do shit like that again, just let me know and we won't. So that's how that goes. But yeah. And then Maritime Monday, we'll have a ghost ship and cannibal rats.
Oh, cool. Rats that eat each other?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh.
A ghost ship full of cannibal rats.
Gross.
Yeah.
It's good for spooky season. I like it.
Megan is not streaming live now, so we'll just throw you out into the wind. Let me just double check here. Usually she shows up, but
yeah, she has been going kind of every day. I really like her coverage of this case. It's excellent.
All right, nothing from Megan Fox. We'll just send you out into the wild. Go wherever you need to go. Again, mods, thank you so much for being mods. Deeply appreciate it. Chat, you are the greatest chat on the entire internet. Do not ever take yourself for granted. You are awesome and amazing. Vice Squad is the best squad. And thank you so much for the support, everybody. It just amazes me. Thank you so much. And we will see you tomorrow for some spooky H.P. Lovecraft readings.
I'm so excited for that.
And like, even if we do more readings, even if we don't do more, if we do Lovecraft readings, and even if we don't do Lovecraft readings on Halloween, I definitely will be reading Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven.
Oh, I love that. I'm a big fan of Poe.
I had to memorize it in 8th grade. still have most of it memorized.
I think I told you this, that El Dorado was the first poem I ever memorized, and I would recite it when I was like maybe 2 years old. I remember like people would be like, "Oh, that's so morbid," but it's a really good one.
And everybody should watch the Netflix show Fall of the House of Usher. It's really good.
I haven't seen it yet.
Good series.
There's the original Vincent Price movie from the 60s that it's on my list for like Halloween movies for October. I have to watch that.
That's one of my favorite old movies. Vincent Price, Peter Lorre, and Boris Karloff.
So
they're all
good.
dueling wizards.
It's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I've seen the trailer. I'm really excited to watch it. I have the book, like an 1800s copy of it, which is one of my prized possessions. But yeah, that's great. I love your readings. You do excellent readings.
And like Sunday night, I'll be doing one of my traditional things, which is I power watch 3 of the greatest horror movies ever made.
Oh, which ones?
Bela Lugosi's Dracula,
Mm-hmm.
Boris Karloff's Frankenstein, and Boris Karloff's The Mummy.
That's a perfect trio. I love it.
Those are just amazing movies. And Boris Karloff's The Mummy is just premium cinema, because it's just
chef's kiss. Yeah.
But Boris Karloff, he's one of the few guys that I could just listen to read a phone book and I'd love every second of it.
Absolutely.
Oh, Flux memorized The Raven too.
Quote The Raven. Nevermore. I saw a really hilarious photo of a raven with a knife in its beak, and the prompt was, tell a story about this bird in 6 words or less, and so I did quote the raven, cash me outside.
Nice.
It's a little clever. I don't know.
But yeah, seriously, everybody should watch. If you have Netflix, watch Fall of the House of Usher. If you're a Poe fan, even if you're not watching, because it's really, really cool, really gory. Each episode is a title of one of his works, and they're sort of loosely based on it. And they actually quote a lot from Poe during the thing. There's everybody Easter eggs. There's people with character names from Poe all over the place. It's a great, cool show. 8 episodes, awesome.
See, I'm surprised that you would make a recommendation for something that's loosely based, because I feel like you're kind of a stickler for things being like.
Oh no, it's great horror.
Original content, yeah.
Yeah, it's great horror.
Well, I'm looking forward to watching it.
It's fun. So, all righty. Of course, Alien 1 is a you can be a horror film and a sci-fi film. They're not mutually exclusive terms. It is a horror film set in a sci-fi setting.
You can do horror and dystopia. There, crossovers.
Well, it's time for me to go to sleep. It's almost 1 a.m. here, and I need to be awake by 7. So, all right, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow, and then we'll see how the HP Lovecraft goes.
I think it'll be great. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited.
Well, we'll find out. I hope it goes great too.
All right.
Until then, everybody, take care. And I wish this was an outro. I'm going to make it the outro anyway. The Halloween intro. I'm going to make it the outro because it's just so cool.
Go for it.
So, all right, everybody. Until we see you again, which hopefully is tomorrow, bring your friends, bring your family. We'll see you later. Thank you so much for all the support. Bye.
夜待つもの